Listen to me, you whining little whelp.
From the Getty's Bike Tour studio.
Hey everyone, it's Cameron.
Shut up!
You're listening to Addressing Gettysburg Today.
There's no time. Hello, exactly.
Hello, everybody. It is Bike Week, and we have the sounds of Bike Week in the background over our beautiful theme song done by Colin Southfield and the Mushroom Country Band. It is oops, some gunshots going off there. It is a muggy day here in Gettysburg, and we are missing a couple of people again, folks. We're missing Eric, the producer. He's in New Jersey for a wedding. And Ronnie Ronstadt is on the French Riviera sunning herself. I don't know what she's doing, but she's always up to something. The people up there on Society Hill, Bill, right? I mean, they love their extravagant vacations. So she's doing that. And we won't be doing a show next week because I'll be in New Jersey. So, yeah, so this is the last show until the week after next week, whatever that date is. I don't know. But sitting in for Veronica today is a treat for us all. You and me and everybody else. Dr. Jen Murray's with us. Welcome.
Thank
Hello.
you for having me.
You're
Hello.
very welcome. Thank you for accepting. Can you hear yourself well?
I can hear myself just fine.
Okay,
Yep,
very
next
good.
month.
All right, and so this is the first time you're on the show. Originally, we were trying to get you on to do something history related, but this is where we act like idiots. So you get to join us acting like idiots.
I'll try my best.
Okay, good. I hope so. How are you doing? So what are you in town for? Do you live here? I'm so confused as to where you live, because you work in Oklahoma, right?
Right. So I'm the Civil War professor at Oklahoma State, and then when the semester's over, we come back to the area. My husband's from Carlisle, so we're fortunate enough to be back here for the summer.
Okay, very good. And your husband is here too, Michael. How are you doing? Come on over to the mic. You can speak and be heard. Everybody wants to hear you. Go ahead. Michael, how do you say your last name? Warricker?
It is Warricker. You
All
got
right,
it.
Warricker. That's very good. You have a very popular Facebook page.
I do. I've had that for about 10 years now, and a lot of Gettysburg vintage photographs. And,
So are you one of the originators of Gettysburg Facebook pages being 10 years old? I mean, because
I wouldn't presume to say any such thing, but
no, one of, not the,
yeah,
but one
yeah.
of. Like
Well,
one of the
perhaps.
early adopters of doing that.
yeah, it goes back to about 2012 or so. So it's certainly on the front end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's that going? Is that what do you use it for? Just for fun, or do you
It's
actually
absolutely
try to?
for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I have a pretty good collection of historic Gettysburg photographs, and I thought people might enjoy seeing them.
Where'd you get them?
I've got them from various locations. I've got them from the park archives. I've gone in and scanned photographs over the years. I've gotten collections of photos from friends that you know well, like Gary Edelman.
I know her.
Sue Boardman.
I know her. Yeah.
Many folks over the years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. You can clap, folks. You don't have to wait for me. You can clap. So you just did that for fun. What got you into Civil War photos?
Geez, I don't know. It goes back into the early 2000s, probably. I'm from the area. I would come to Gettysburg a lot and enjoyed the battlefield. I got in with a group of friends who had an interest in the historic photos, and it kind of grew for me from there.
That is a pretty big area of interest in the Civil War study.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
People love that stuff, especially then and now stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't have the patience for it. I used to be a photographer, and I'm so jaded from that I can't look at pictures. You know what I mean? Like I want nothing to do with pictures.
Yeah, I understand.
But I'm slowly coming around to that. But anyway, so it's Bike Week. How do you like the Bike Week? You've been here for Bike Week before, right?
Yeah, I've been working here when I did work here since 2002. So
Okay.
Bike Week on the tail of the anniversary is always two pretty intense weeks here for people in town and working
Yeah.
at the battlefield, or visitors to the area too.
Especially the unsuspecting visitors that don't realize it's Bike Week. And then like they're like the one room that isn't motorcycle riders or bikers, at their hotel, and
Quite a surprise.
it's as bad as when you're an adult and you're in a hotel when there's like a soccer tournament in town and there's all kids except for you, and then it's just noise and it's awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. But we had some fun. And also, I'm sorry, Colby Sumner is here sitting in for Eric. Hello, Colby. How are you? Your podcast, America Fog of War, debuted on July 4th, correct?
It did. It had a good debut, man.
Yeah, good. I'm hearing good things about it, and nobody's saying anything bad yet, so that's good.
At least not to me.
Not to me either, because they think I'll tell you. So
exactly. And we've had some really nice comments here in the studio today. It's been awesome, man. We feel very fortunate. Like, it's getting a good amount of downloads. It seems like it's spreading very well, and like the reception seems pretty good. So we couldn't be more excited about it.
Good. Where can people find it? America Fog of War is the name. Where can people find it? Everywhere, right?
Yeah, on any podcast app or platform that you like to listen to your podcasts on, you can find it. America Fog of War. You can also go to our website, americafogofwar.com. And it'll have links to everything, up to including Apple Podcast and our Instagram and YouTube and all that good stuff. But honestly, the easiest way, especially if you're like an Apple user, is to just search America Fog of War, or if on Spotify, search America Fog of War, and you'll find it.
Yeah, it's easy to find these things nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, isn't it?
It is.
You just go somewhere and you search it, and then it's there. All right, so anniversary weekend. Everybody, we got a lot of people in the audience. Anybody, if you want to talk, just go and grab Colby's microphone there and join in, because this is an open discussion here. What did we do? What did we do on anniversary weekend? Well, I'll start with me on Friday. I went to the seminary and I watched the movie a bit. I think that's all I did. I might have done something else. How about you, Bill? What did you do?
I joined you at the seminary for the movie event.
Joined me at the seminary for the movie event, and
After I put up a tent in 100-degree weather.
Can you project a little with your voice, Bill, please?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. This isn't pillow talk. This is trying to hear you.
I was one of the Farby nerds at Daniel Lady to participate in a reenactment.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to put up our tent, and it was about 100 degrees in the blazing sun. And then we got to put wool on, so that was doubly fun. But we did escape for a little while to come in the air conditioning of the seminary.
Well, you didn't. You were here. Oh, that was on Thursday. You came on the show Thursday. Yeah.
And I got to see great friends like Maria
Mm-hmm.
and Eric and Pete,
Pete.
Cindy, Pete Mealy,
Oh, Pete Meal. Oh, over the. Yeah. Okay.
Caleb.
Sorry. I forgot where we were.
all at the seminary who we love.
Yes. And you sat up front with me when we watched the movie. And Cindy, has Bill always been really loud at movie theaters?
Yeah.
You know, because I'll lean over to. He was.
He's very.
Yeah.
He repeats lines, especially.
Yes, I was worried about being thrown out for repeating word for word every line, including the background actors.
Right. And yeah, and it's like I'll lean over and I'll say something to him like, you see that guy over Sam Elliott's shoulder? That's Rob Gibson. He'd be like, oh, yeah, that's Rob Gibson. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. That's him, yeah. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, be
I
quiet.
didn't realize how many famous people I knew.
Yeah. Well, you know a lot of famous people in this little world, but not in the real
All right,
world.
this is my
yeah.
world.
Yeah, exactly. All right, good. And then, so how did the reenactment go? You know, I went there, but I didn't.
Hit. You were a hit.
What?
You were a hit.
I was a hit. What did I do? I just walked
I
around.
pointed out to the people that didn't know who you were. I'm like, that's Matt Callery. And they said, who? But it worked out well.
Yeah,
No, it was actually very well. It was a lot of fun. It was hot, sweaty. The storm Saturday didn't help.
Yeah.
But if that's your kind of genre for reenactments, it was great. Nothing against the Minnesota boys. They did a great job out on the battlefield during the same time. But
Right.
some people like to see flashes and hear booms, and
Well,
worked out.
and people were able to do both. I'm sure you go to one and then go to the other. But they were doing their march around the time you guys were doing the battle, right?
Yes.
5 o'clock.
yes.
Yeah.
And
And so I went to the reenactment in the morning to, you know, go around and see if we can get any video or anything like that. And I was doing a live video, and I walked into the Confederate camp, and there was a line of artillery there, and there was a Williams gun. Are you familiar with this, Michael? A Williams gun?
Waiting to hear.
Okay, well, it's a breech loader, and it's like there's a crank, and the crank pulls a hammer back, and boom, hits the cap, and then fires it. And it's only, I think it's a 1 3/4 inch diameter, so it's a small gun. And I go, what is this gun? I've never seen this gun. She goes, oh, it's a Williams gun. Well, it's a breech loader, and this is how it works, and blah, 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 blah. And the Confederates had them here at Gettysburg. And I said, no, they didn't. And she's like, no, they did. And then then some mountain howitzers over there. Anyway, so they have these mountain howitzers, and then she's trying to tell me that they had these guns at Gettysburg. And I said, no, they didn't. The Whitworths were the breech loaders. It wasn't these. And she goes, well, I don't know. The captain says that. And I go, well, the captain can kiss my ass. And then she starts telling me about the mountain howitzers and how the mountain howitzers, there was a battery of them here. And they were originally in, they were in Jackson's Corps, and they were named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I go, I don't think those were mountain howitzers. And she's like, no, they were. Captain says so. And so then the captain, they went and tattled, and then the captain came back, and he goes, somebody's over here asking questions about the guns. And I said, oh, no, we were just talking. And he goes, well, and then he goes into this whole spiel, and then tells me that basically there's a big conspiracy to not admit that there were mountain howitzers here at Gettysburg. Did you know this, Jen, when you worked here?
This is new news.
Okay, so this conspiracy is new to you.
Breaking news.
Yes, well, this is apparently the big thing in the Civil War world is that there were mountain howitzers in the Confederate Army here at Gettysburg, but the National Park Service doesn't want that to get out. And I don't understand why they wouldn't want that to get out. Maybe because, I don't know, because the mountain howitzer industry hasn't really paid a lot of money to get maybe, so now we ignore them and we just pay attention to the Napoleons and the other types of howitzers. I don't know, but whatever. That was the exciting day of my morning at the exciting moment of my morning at the.
I can say that the U.S. Detachment of Engineers not only would have known which guns were here, they would have shown you where.
Why would the engineers know this? What's so special about you guys?
We know everything. Nothing moves without the engineers.
Your wife is hiding her head in shame.
That's okay. No, we some units that like to do reenactments, they're just happy to be there.
Yeah.
And some units that do reenactments take it very seriously.
Which one are you?
I take it very seriously.
Oh.
It was almost like being in jail at the Daniel Lady Farm because I'm not used to not being around town.
Yeah. You wanted to be out and about, like, with all where all the stuff was.
I was very, very torn.
So next year you won't be doing reenactments. You will just go and party. Not party, you know what I mean, but socialize.
Partake. I will partake in all the educational opportunities I can.
Because you missed a lot. There was a lot of stuff. The Heritage Center had stuff. The seminary had stuff. The Park Service had stuff. Everybody had stuff going on. Matt Atkinson had a Bible walk, not a Bible walk, a battle walk.
Well,
you'll treat him like he's Jesus, so maybe it is a Bible walk. But
I did hear that he almost had a T-shirt. Almost.
I talked to him about that last night. He goes, now, how come Tim Smith has a T-shirt? And I said, because he came on the show. And it came out of him coming on the show. It's an inside joke. You come on the show, Matt, enough, and soon enough you'll say something that'll be worth putting on a T-shirt.
Oh, he would have a T-shirt-worthy quote in about 4 seconds.
You and me, we're on two different wavelengths. And I was like, what are you talking about? Just come on the damn show.
I'm not sure who put on Facebook. It was Martin Sheen as Robert E. Lee saying, "Is Mississippi ready?"
Yeah.
And then it was...
And then it's Mississippi Red, and it's a great idea for a teacher. And the person sent me a message, and he goes, "You could use this. I don't care." And I said, "I'm not going to use it because it didn't come out of the show.
No,
it's a great T-shirt. It's a great idea, but I can't use it." Also here are Maria Black and Beth, and you guys were here last weekend as well. What did you do during the anniversary? Grab that mic, swing it around there. Come over to the microphone. Don't be shy. Get a little close. There you go. Okay, well, you just lift it up. You don't have to bend there. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
That's about as
As you could see, Jen and Michael, this is a class act operation
tough
here.
shelf, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So we just kind of drove around, wasted some gas, tried to do almost everything, but it's nearly impossible. But
Yeah.
hung out with you and Joe for a little bit.
Right. That's right. What did you do that you enjoyed the most?
I think dinner at the Farnsworth house was my favorite part.
Dinner at the Farnsworth house?
Yeah.
You can do that anytime.
I
You do
know,
that
but
anytime.
Still, it's incredible every time.
Okay. All right. That's a pretty good plug for the Farnsworth house. That's good. All right. So then it's not a very good plug for everything else that was going on, but at least the Farnsworth house got something out of this, and that's nice because they're friends of ours. All right. And then how about you, Beth? What'd you do? Nothing?
I was following her.
You were following her around. Yeah. And Beth, go over to the microphone because you're a very interesting person. Go ahead. It's okay. Don't be scared. There you go. Thank you. Just speak right into it. There you go. Okay. Oh, she's sitting. She's sitting and she's going to speak right into that mic. Now, Beth, you don't really like any of this stuff, do you?
No, I don't.
No, into the mic, dear. There you go. What? Oh, that's 4. I'm raising. Okay, go ahead. So you don't like any of this stuff.
No,
And you don't. You're not interested in history at all.
not at
But
all.
every time I see Maria, you're with her.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that's very sweet of you to do that, even though you hate it. What do you drag her to that she hates?
There's bookstores.
Bookstores?
Yes.
You don't like books, Maria?
I like books. I just don't like the same books that she likes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
What kind of books do you like?
Romance.
Mm.
I'm sorry.
Get him for that one.
I'm just teasing you.
Judge the books.
Yeah, romance. What kind of romance? Like sci-fi romance, like werewolves? No. Okay. No, just like actual human romance.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ones with the guy with the big chest and the long hair, muscles. You don't like those?
I feel like they've
Long
updated their. I feel like they've updated.
They don't do that
their
anymore?
art since the 90s.
Since Fabio. I don't know. It's the last time I saw a romance cover. Yeah, right. They all looked like, oh, is this guys with dad bods now on the cover of these books?
No.
Because I could model.
It could be that. It'd be that Bert Kreischer guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Custom shirt.
Yeah. All right. Well, but you had fun though, right? Because you were here almost every time I saw Maria.
Yeah.
So you enjoy yourself, right?
Of course.
All right. I don't understand that, but I love it. I think that's great. Well, no, because, I mean, it's like there's doing something for somebody you love once in a while that you actually hate doing. But every weekend, it seems like you're being dragged here.
She feeds me, so.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe one day Cindy will have to make you a corporal. Wow. and Bill gets nothing yet again. All right. Thank you very much, Beth. Thank you for your kindness. Speaking of the First Minnesota, you were talking about them before. We did some videos with them. That was pretty fun. They did a really good job. And one of the guys, Stephen Lunsford, invited Eric, the producer, on his show, which is called the Civil War Regiments Podcast. And that just came out, was that yesterday? And it's pretty good. Eric did a really good job being interviewed on that. And what I really like is the mad props that were given to the show itself. Because, no, I don't know. And then, well, no, because, some out of the blue, somebody invites the producer of the show on, not the genius behind it, And then you figure out what are they going to talk about? But they actually did a good job talking about the origin of the show, even though some of the facts were a little hazy, but whatever. But no, so it was good. So Stephen Lunsford's podcast, the Civil War Regiments Podcast, check that out. It's pretty good. Big news, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget that tickets for the August 20th live show at the Farnsworth House are now on sale. And big announcement. Just heard this maybe 3 hours ago, but it is confirmed. It is true. The guest is Tim Smith and Gary Edelman. He is he's no longer the mystery guest or the maybe guest. He is confirmed, and he will be here. Now we just have to figure out what we're going to talk about, but it's all coming together slowly. If you're sitting there going, well, I'm going to wait until this happens, and then I'll decide if I'm going to buy a ticket. Well, guess what? We're almost out of them, so you better act fast. If you follow us on Facebook, there's an event there with the link to the ticket thing. If you follow us on Instagram, there is a link in our bio that has it. And if you go to our website, by tonight, it should be up there. My website guy is working on it after he's done with his actual job. So that will be there as well. If you what?
Nothing but class.
Nothing but class over here, folks. Very professional organization. So anyway, that's it. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we want to take your calls because this was a pretty eventful 4th of July. Well, the days after were pretty eventful, and one of the reasons Jen is here is because she joined me in making a kerfuffle about cornholing. And so that's why we're calling this episode To Cornhole or Not to Cornhole. And that is the question, ladies and gentlemen. That is the question. Where do we draw the line? How do we enforce things? How can you legislate respect? We don't know, but we want to hear from you guys. We have you guys got the tickets, right? Yeah. Okay, we actually have 4, right? Because Steve got 2.
Yes.
What?
TR historical gift card.
And a TR historical gift card. All right. Well, I want to hold on to that for another day. For this one, we're going to give away two tickets to the August 20th show, but you have to call in, and you don't just get it for calling in. You have to call in and have a good point. You have to make me, you have to make Jen, and you have to make Michael all go, oh, or that's a good point, or something, or just laugh really hard. Either way.
I got a good point for you.
What's that?
You should have called this section 2 Tickets to Paradise. I got 1 out of the 3. I'm doing all right.
What the hell are you talking about?
You said I got 2 tickets, and then you left a long pause. Should have been to Paradise.
Folks, I'm sorry. All right.
Look, I got all 3 of you now. You said Mike and Jen both laughed.
Yeah, that was clever. Well done.
So wait, do I get the tickets now, or
no?
do you get the,
I mean, in theory, I should be getting them, but I'm going to pass them on to the
They're
listeners.
the tickets. You guys should have called earlier. Colby got the tickets. No, people on the show cannot win their prizes. But yeah, no. So these tickets, and here's the thing: for those of you who have won things before, and I never mailed them to you, this is a different situation. Bill and Cindy, it doesn't matter. Bill and Cindy Cindy's going to take it because they bought the tickets and they're going to give them away. So it will be taken care of and it will be handled responsibly because I'm not involved. So there. So. Amen. Amen is right. So what we're going to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is take our first break, and that's very important because that's what we call paying the bills. And when we get back, we're going to open this up and we're going to talk about it. And God help us all. God help us all. That's all I'm going to say. We'll be right back after these words.
Want to be on the show? Send an email to info@addressinggettysburg.com. Be sure to include the reason why you think you'd make a good guest when you write us.
Johnny comes marching home again, hurrah, hurrah.
Very family friendly. We had a wonderful time with our son.
Me and my friends were able to rent these bikes and go at our own pace, so we were able to just do what we wanted to do when we wanted to do it, and I highly recommend it to anybody else.
It seemed like the right way to go to view the wonderful sights and also get an incredible amount of history from Bob.
Our tour guide Bruce was so knowledgeable about the facts and the history of these battlefields that I came away with an understanding that was unmatched by any other means.
The breeze on the battlefield made up for the hot day.
I had a wonderful time, great trip, lots of history, wonderful bike ride, perfect weather. Could have asked for a nicer day. Highly recommend it.
If you're going to tour Gettysburg, I would recommend doing it on the bike. It's a lot of fun.
I loved it. It was awesome.
We really couldn't stump the professor with any of our questions, so we thought it was really well worth it.
It was an excellent day out and got you outside and experienced the weather. Beautiful weather out here today.
We had a lot of fun. If you're thinking about it, I'd just say give it a shot. It was awesome for us. I hope it's awesome for you guys too.
Go to gettysbike.com or call 717-752-7752 to book a battlefield experience you will never forget.
You've heard us promote various ways that you can help us keep the show going, but one way we haven't pushed too much is our sutlery at addressinggettysburg.com/shop. That's a shame because we have designs over there by talented artists like Ty DeWitt of 1863 Designs and Mike Stretch of the Heritage Depot. So now we're promoting it. Buying shirts, hoodies, mugs, and other items from our sutlery not only helps us keep the lights on, but it also helps guys like Ty and Mike, and it helps spread the word about the show every time you wear an item or you sip from your mug. So head over to addressinggettysburg.com/shop and grab some merch. It's the perfect Christmas gift for the Gettys nerd in your family. That's addressinggettysburg.com/shop.
Have you noticed our revamped website at addressinggettysburg.com? Well, that's the fine work of a man named Mike Stretch, and he also redid our logo for us. Both of them I originally designed, and both of them were originally horrible, but now they're nice, and that's all thanks to Mike. Mike has an awesome t-shirt company called Heritage Depot. There you'll find great designs based on Gettysburg and the Civil War with t-shirts and other types of merchandise. So go to heritage-depot.com and spruce up your Gettys Nerd wardrobe. That's heritage-depot.com. Our favorite bookstore in Gettysburg is For the Historian, located at 42 York Street. It's because they have the best selection of Civil War books in Gettysburg, both new and used. And online, they have even more to choose from. And if the Civil War isn't your thing, that's not a problem. This is For the Historian, after all. They cover history from the ancient world to the 21st century with a strong selection of World War II and American Revolution books. It's astounding how many thousands of titles from Osprey, Savas Beatty, UNC Press, and more they have in their store. And that's because, well, they have a warehouse too. And that's where they keep all the books that are available online at forthehistorian.com. And folks, if you go to forthehistorian.com now and order books until you're blue in the face, be sure you mention that you heard about them on Addressing Gettysburg in the Note to Seller box, and they will refund your shipping costs. And if you prefer to stop by when you're in town, well, you could do that too. Just mention Addressing Gettysburg at checkout, and they'll take 20% off the retail price of your item. So go to forthehistorian.com or stop by 42 York Street, or you can call them at 717-685-5207. That's forthehistorian.com or 717-685-5207.
From the patriots of Bunker Hill to those who embarked upon the Great Crusade at Normandy. From the blue-clad Federals at Gettysburg who gave the last full measure of devotion, to the many thousands who did the same at places like Belleau Wood, Chosin, Yadrong, and Fallujah. The American warrior is the greatest warrior the world has ever known, who, through sacrifice and dedication to the nation they served, have composed a history worthy of being remembered. Join me, Colby Sumner, to hear their story and to connect our current and future American warriors to those of our past on America, Fog of War.
You're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
You're listening to the man who is adored by his haters and just tolerated by his fans. Here's Matt on Addressing Gettysburg Today.
It's so true. I always say it's so true because it is so true. Before we get into the topic at hand, ladies and gentlemen, 717-420-1978 is the phone number to call if you want to get in on this discussion. We're talking about to cornhole or not to cornhole on the battlefield, and tall grass, beavers, whatever you want to talk about. There's a lot to talk about regarding the battlefield, and things seem to kind of, I wouldn't say explode. I think explode is a little bit of an exaggeration, right? On Facebook.
Got close to a high water mark.
It got close to a high water mark. Yeah, there you go. So, we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to give you a couple minutes to fill up the queue. And if you're afraid you're going to miss the show, you can hear the show while you're on hold. So don't worry about that. If that's the reason you don't call in, don't let that be the reason you don't call in. However, we do have somebody on the line, and I don't think it's regarding any of this stuff. So let's just see who it is. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, man.
Oh, if it isn't Cameron. Hello, Cam.
Hey.
Hey.
Oh my God.
What's up, Cam?
Oh my! You gotta start that again.
It's your theme song. What do you want, Cameron?
Right.
What?
Just talk about where I was the other week.
Where were you the other week?
I traveled down to Little Bighorn.
Oh, how far are you from Little Bighorn?
All right, now.
You're about 4 hours. All right, how was it, Cam? How was it?
Great.
Yeah?
Jim Hester on there to talk about the.
I'm sorry, Cameron, you're breaking up. You are breaking up. That's what it's like out there in North Dakota. Yes.
I said when I get back, you got to have me and Jim Hessler on there.
Now, why would I pair you up with Jim Hessler for anything?
Because we both been to Little Bighorn.
Well, then I should just get George Sinalski, who was my neighbor, and he went to Little Bighorn once. Well, all three of you can sit there and talk about your trips to the Little Big. What does that have to do with anything, Cameron? Jim Hessler is an expert on the Little Bighorn.
Well, because we both got pretty good experiences of what it's like on the battlefield there.
Ah, so you want to talk about like what it's like to actually set foot on the battlefield?
Yeah, I mean, like you was at Gettysburg, where I wish I could have been over the anniversary. I traveled to Little Bighorn and walked for a day.
Right, Cam, your connection is really bad. You keep breaking up there, and can you call back later on in the show? Maybe get a better cell signal.
Yeah, I'll call back.
All right, Cameron, that's very good. We'll talk to you later. Ladies and gentlemen, 717-420-1978 is the phone number. Call in and join the conversation. All right, so let's set this up here, okay? First of all, let me turn off the music because Cameron's off the show now. First of all, my whole thing is I'm kind of on the fence. Not on the fence, but I'm torn. Because I do understand the Park Service's side of a lot of these issues. I don't agree with them necessarily, but I understand. But on the other hand, you know, there's the public side of things, which I think I understand as well. Some people in the public I don't get, like people who want to play cornhole at Cushing's Battery, but other times I'm like, well, like. What do you want them to do? Like, it's everybody's park, and there's no sign anywhere that says don't do this stuff. Correct?
Right.
There's no cornholing sign.
Right. I guess a visitor driving up Hancock Avenue wouldn't see a sign that said there was no cornhole or frisbee.
Or frisbee or football or picnicking or baseball or anything like that. There's nothing that even says no recreational activity. It just is like... It's like law enforcement has a little book in their pocket that they can pull out anytime they see somebody doing something that they're, you know, not supposed to do. But how do they know? How does the average Joe know what is right to do here?
I suspect there's a short message about proper behavior in the park brochure. You know, if someone comes into the visitor center and they pick up the park map, I think it has some basic guidelines about
Amy,
regulations, but nothing in extensive detail.
All right, so behind you, Amy, there, down on the floor, there's like drawers. The top drawer, the far right plastic bin there, it has a bunch of maps in them. Pull one of those out if you don't mind, and hand them over to us, and let's see what it says. Wait, what is that? Is that it? That's not it.
No, it's going climate change.
What is that one? There's they're all folded up. There should be a bunch of them all folded up in little stacks. Yeah. There you go. What the hell is this? Climate change in national parks.
Yeah, so there's a section in here that says stay safe, protect the park. It gives some discussion about what's acceptable, and it has a complete list of regulations, including firearm information, and gives you a referral to the park website. Monuments and cannons are irreplaceable historic objects. To respect them, do not climb, stand, or hang on them.
Okay.
Gives in information about historic sites and structures, exhibits plants, animals. Minerals must be left undisturbed. No relic hunting, possessing.
So do you think, do they think, though, that the average person knows minerals means rocks?
Well, also, like that the average person is going to actually read that. I'll be honest with you. If it's something that I'm not as into as the Battle of Gettysburg and like Civil War battlefields, if it's like I'm going to a theme park for the day,
right?
Unless it's on, like it's in my face, like I can't help but see it, I'm never going to see that message.
No.
You know what I mean?
I
Like,
gotta
I'm never
tell
gonna
you,
pick up the map and read that.
I've seen that map a million times. We have a bunch of them here. I hand them out to the public all the time because they think we're the visitor center, which is a whole other story. And I have never read that part of it. I had no idea that was on there. Most people are like me, oblivious to everything.
You sound like my students who don't read the syllabus. Whenever I say it's in the syllabus, it's not an excuse. It's in the syllabus.
I didn't read it. No, I know. And again, that doesn't hold up. You're right. It's not an excuse. It is posted somewhere on a tiny little map in tiny little writing. But if I'm a person who never comes to the visitor center and I just go out on the battlefield and I don't grab that map, where on the battlefield do I see all these rules?
Wouldn't it be implied in National Military Park?
Oh, okay. Well, then, so that's another thing is like, does the average public understand anything about that? The average person in the public understand anything about that designation?
Well, I would assume that that's a failure in communication on the U.S. government's part, and that's never happened before.
Well, it could be that. It could be a failure of the schools. It could be a failure of parents. It's a lot of people that failed to get us here. But
if you go to Gateway Sandy Hook in New Jersey.
Yeah. It's a nude beach.
That is true. I am banned. But
I can't believe it.
But when you go to military parks, it says military park everywhere. So
Yeah.
therefore,
But are you saying that the word military should have...
it should at least pique your interest as to why it's called military, as compared to
but
national forest.
But do you think, though, that it should have in the minds of the public, what do you call it? That they should immediately know that
Like
that means be respectful and reverent. Yeah.
They should.
But
My
they
generation
should.
does.
Well, your generation is old.
That is true.
Old people tend to understand these things.
There's
I'm thinking, I'm a young parent, and I'm out there with my kids, and we're going to watch the fireworks, and I bring toys or I bring something for them to do so that I don't have to listen to them, right?
instance for watching fireworks. Okay.
Yeah.
There's room for interpretation. But this happens every day here.
Well,
People
that's
on
the thing.
Cannons.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean,
I'm not sure which side everybody's on, but if you're going to let a beaver destroy a monument,
why do you care about kids on a cannon?
Yeah, why would you care about
That is a great point, Bill. I'm gonna give you one of your free tickets. Yes, you do.
Nice.
No, but really, that is a great point. Like, what? Okay, the cannon. Don't let your 3-year-old little girl who won't put a dent in that cannon climb on the cannon. Yet the beavers can drown that monument, and we have to go.
Flank marker.
There's nothing we could do.
The flank marker.
Nothing we could do. We're just gonna make an island out of it.
Yeah, I don't.
It's gonna be an island. The Mozart Island
is just not. It's just not present. I don't understand.
Let me say something really quick before we get any further.
They can't refuse.
What? Let me just say this. The views that we are expressing are our own, not our sponsors, not anybody else's, just our own. Okay, now go.
I'm pretty sure I can make it out of the park before they come. But it just, whether it's generational or lack of respect or on the public's part, is one thing, but then the selective enforcement of the rules, it's almost a perfect storm.
Well, it is, yeah. Well, all right. So, okay, so he brings up selective enforcement and the public. So, oh, shit, I forgot what you just said that made me have a question. But, Jen, go ahead. Talk a little bit more on the subject because you've got thoughts.
So a couple of things. I think since the pandemic, since COVID started 2 years ago, with so many places closed, that Gettysburg reverted to a recreational park, intentionally or unintentionally. That people were coming out here and recreating when other places that they would go and do whatever normal sorts of activities they would do. This became a landscape for them to have those sorts of experiences. And maybe some of that is still lingering. No doubt we're upset with the people playing cornhole, right? As an educator and as people passionate about Civil War, you're like, how can you possibly think that this is an appropriate place for that activity? Go to the rec park in town, right? You don't have to do it at the angle, particularly in that place that so many of us hold with such reverence. So we're upset with that. But then parallel to that is this enforcement question and sort of a general, in so many people's opinion, a deterioration of the park and the landscape and the management of it. So I think there's a collision of a lot of issues here. But, you know, I teach history in college and engage with the public in a variety of ways, and their understanding of history is scant at best, right? So for us to sort of impose or expect that kind of reverence that we have for a place like this, I think is maybe asking a little bit too much of sort of the average people. And
I agree. But I was thinking about this since this all happened, and like online, and we were all talking about it on the 5th and everything like that. I was getting all fired up, and I've been holding my tongue for 2 years about criticisms and things that bother me about the park. But I don't know what happened. The cornhole thing, you know, here's what happened. Okay. So let me give you people the story that don't understand this. Not Tyler, what's your name? Colby. Colby has some pictures here to, show us, of the incident here. And then we'll see what we're all up in arms about here. Now, so we're at the Angle, which is my place that I like to go to watch the fireworks. And I'm not going to say who, but a friend of mine was there who works for the Park Service, and several other people. Ronnie Ronstadt was there with her mom, Kath, and her broken wrist. And Vicky Castle was there, a famous werewolf smut writer, and their kids and everything like that. Now they had kids, younger kids, and they're running around and doing whatever, and but they're running around. They're not playing any games, But behind us, go ahead. You can show the cornhole picture now. I assumed, because I didn't look closely, I assumed in my mind's eye that these were kids. But I mean, compared to me, they're kids. But these are teenagers, maybe early 20-somethings, that are out there playing cornhole. And then, of course, I didn't notice until I was putting this picture up earlier today, the people leaning up against a cannon, which I guess is not that big of a deal. So this is the picture that you then picked up and shared on your Facebook page.
Yep.
And you went on this big tirade, WTF Park Service, and you went on and on and on with all the, and you went on everything, the beavers, the grass, the sassafras.
The next day I was a little more contextualizing of the cornhole and sort of my long observations of decline of the park in different ways. So that particular incident just seemed to be the kind of the culmination for me personally.
Well, and then also to go along with this, now this is facing east. Now if we face west down to the Emmitsburg Road, go ahead, show that picture, Colby. You will see that some jackass pulled over to the side of the road, and I don't know what he did, if he lit sparklers, like a whole package of sparklers or whatever, but we noticed this plume of smoke and some kind of a flare. And it was big, so I'm guessing it was a bunch of sparklers, and he just thought he'd light them all at once or something like that. And that was down on the Emmitsburg Road. Now, here's the thing. The person that I was with, who works for the Park Service, texted directly a law enforcement officer that he knows. This law enforcement officer said, I will dispatch someone. 5 minutes later, we see a law enforcement vehicle come up Hancock Avenue. And we're like, okay, fireworks are about to start a little early tonight, folks. We were all excited. And he just kept on going. And then 10 minutes later, comes back again, keeps on going, just loops around, drove by the people with the flares on the Emmitsburg Road. Watched it. I got a video of it. Just watched it go and just kept on going, looped around, came up to us, kept going. I think I counted 5 or 6 times before the fireworks started where this, I don't know if it was a guy or a girl, just went right by us.
That's so important to say because it's unfair of us to criticize law enforcement in this instance if they didn't know about it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Right.
They have 6,000 acres of this battlefield to patrol.
Right.
On the 4th of July, on the tail of the anniversary.
Yes.
They're short-staffed. We know all these factors. So you can't expect them to be everywhere at once. But if they knew about it and then didn't do anything about it more than once, that's a different conversation.
Well, especially when they're Johnny on the spot when it's not very busy and someone is like eating a granola bar in the cemetery, or I was riding my bike the other day, and as I was leaving here, somebody pulled up, and I know him, and he rollerblades, which I didn't know anybody still does. And so I said, well, I'm going to go for a ride. Why don't you come with me? So I'm riding, he's rollering, and we don't even get halfway down Pleasanton Avenue, and we're stopped by 2 law enforcement guys. The younger guy, they get out of the car. The younger guy comes over, and he's very apologetic, and he's almost embarrassed that he has to enforce this rule. And he says, "You're not allowed to rollerblade here. I know it's a stupid rule, but it's the rules. I'm sorry." Oh, it's okay. And as I said, I understand you guys are starting to enforce all these little rules now. And the other guy, who was back by the car, hears that, and he goes, "Nope, I've been here since 2007, and I always tell people not to rollerblade." And I wanted to say, I've been here since 2005, and you missed a few hundred, because I see them all the time. Now, so what am I going to do? Report everybody? Like, it's not. But they're quick to jump on you. And you know what my problem is, really? I understand they don't have an easy job, and in the last several years, the country has not been too kind to law enforcement officers, and I get that. It's got to be the most stressful job on the planet. I would not want that job. But maybe, at least here, you kind of don't treat everybody like they just robbed a bank, and maybe people would have a little more respect for you. Like when you come lashing out at people like they just murdered someone and you caught them red-handed, it doesn't sit well with people. It's demeaning. It's demeaning, and it's like we're subjects and we're not citizens, or we're not your bosses who pay your salary.
No.
Yeah, for sure. And the National Park Service is the most respected of the government agencies,
Yeah,
right?
It's like the last one we still like.
Right. It's the most revered federal agency.
This is the same park agency that decided it'd be a good idea to shut Little Round Top for the 160th anniversary next year.
No, see, but that's different. See, again,
law enforcement aside,
No. But like Jen was saying, it's some things are fair, some things are not fair. It's not fair for us, I think, to criticize that, because that was something that was put in motion a decade ago, and when the funding comes, you got to do it.
But
now
the aesthetics. Even the casual Gettysburg student knows Little Round Top.
But here's the other thing: government is not a business.
No,
it is not in the business of pleasing the public. It's not.
No, it is not.
I mean, they're supposed to serve the public, but we all know that's just a joke. But that's not their job. That's not what they're supposed to do. And image, they obviously don't care about image.
It's Little Round Top, though. It's the 160th.
Yeah, I'm not going to give you that one, Bill. I'm sorry. I just won't give that to you. I know what you're saying, but you're going to get the buzzer. Sorry.
So I got to get my tickets back?
Yes, give your free tickets back that you already bought. Okay, so it's not. That's the problem I think I had, is like I've been stopped. Oh, so anyway, with the rollerblader, they made him take his rollerblades off in the middle of Pleasanton Avenue and walk off campus, and I wanted to. That to me was like the most demeaning thing that you could do to somebody. Like, why can't you just turn around and leave? Right? You make the guy get down to his thin little socks. So luckily, I had that electric bike that's outside, and it's got a seat on the back. So I said to the kid, I'm like, don't take your fucking shoes off. Like, sit on the back seat here and be my training wheels, and I'll show you a little bit until we get to the Emmitsburg Road, and then you can go on your own, because we wanted to go for a long ride, and we'll just go on the Emmitsburg Road. So now he's endangered on the Emmitsburg Road, because that's not the best place to be rollerblading. But God forbid he rollerblades in the national park.
So let me give a little context to this, perhaps, as the historian. Gettysburg has always been used as a recreational park. Always been that way.
Yeah.
When the automobile was being invented in the early 20th century, they would have automobile sort of races down West Confederate Avenue to test out these newfangled machines.
Wow.
To see how fast they could get them to go, if they could hit 18 miles an hour. You know?
Oh, wow.
So it became a park to experiment with automobiles. They, townspeople particularly, used to sled ride down East Cemetery Hill, and some local chapters of the KKK would provide security for these kids sled riding on East Cemetery Hill.
Was there a big threat?
That was in the local newspapers, right? Which is this interest. I mean, that's interesting in a lot of ways. But this is a place that has different associations for different people. And we've seen recreation be a part of this park for such a long time. But now we're watching it firsthand, and it's generating a much different reaction as no longer being acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that, racing on West Confederate. But the thing is, where do you draw the line, though? Because then bicycles, horses, Segways, those little turtle-looking things, scooter thing, what is it just automobiles, cars and buses? Is that all that is going to be allowed here? Or is it just eventually going to be buses? So there's some theories. There's some theories out there because we don't get any answers from the Park Service.
Yeah, I would certainly like some more transparency from the Park Service.
That'd be great.
Right.
That would be great. But we don't have that right now. And people worry about Little Round Top. See, what's funny is I'm nobody. But I hear from people all the time, and I'm sure other people do who are not related to the Park Service or not working for the Park Service, but they hear things all the time, concerns from people about what they're going to do, and a distrust of what they have planned because they're not telling us what they have planned. And I don't know, I'm 44 years old. I've been under this government for 44 years, and I think I know how they act, and I think I know how they behave and the things that they do and the way they lie and the way they tell half-truths and things like that. So the distrust that people have, I've been there for 20 years. So I'm glad people are coming around to it, but I don't think it's right. Because like you said, this is the one branch of the government that we love. And I don't like that they're shooting themselves in the foot. All the good people that work for them, all the good people that interact with the public on a daily basis who do a fantastic job. I think our interpretive rangers are the best in the country, and I don't even know the rest of them. I don't need to, because I think we have the best. And they do such a great job, but it's the people that make the decisions for them. And I have to say, too, in defense of Superintendent Sims, I would not want his job either. Right. Because he's not the guy. Everybody wants to blame him. I don't think it's all him. It's his bosses. They sent him here to do this. My guess. I don't really know for sure. But, I mean, I can't believe that he's thinking of all this stuff. This is stuff that's coming from above.
Well, I think what also underscores a lot of these conversations, and no doubt echoes people's observation in this room, is we came off the golden age of Gettysburg.
Yeah.
We were here. I was here in the best time that this battlefield has ever seen, from top to bottom. The superintendent, the chief of interpretation, the licensed battlefield guide supervisor, all the park rangers, the chief historian were the best in the business. And the battlefield never looked better in the 2000s. The new visitor center opened in 2008. So we remember those golden years, and now we're seeing what to us, long-standing Gettysburg visitors, is a deterioration in the battlefield in many different fronts. And I think it's distressing to a lot of people who have a long association with the battle story and the landscape.
There's an old documentary that Leslie Nielsen narrates about the battle. It's on, if you have the DVD of the movie, it's on that, and in the special features, and the footage, I mean, it's pretty cool the way they did it, for the 60s, but the footage shows, all different parts of the park, and it is just trees everywhere, everywhere. And I was like, that's awful. Like, thank God I wasn't around. Like, I was around for the end of the heavily wooded areas. And then when I moved down here in 05, soon after they started clearing stuff, and I was like, wow, this is so cool.
Yep.
As a history nerd, that was awesome to me. That the purpose of this place is being respected and maintained so that people can come here and see the views that the soldiers saw and get a better idea of it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And now things are going back to the 1960s.
Those view sheds are being lost.
Yeah.
And I'll say about the superintendent. Superintendent Sims is the 13th National Park Service superintendent to manage Gettysburg National Military Park.
Ever?
For the National Park Service.
For
so
the
National Park
Service,
Service took over in August of 1933. So he's the 13th.
Okay.
And the background of that individual matters. So it's an incredible authority and burden that the superintendent is given. He has a tremendous amount of authority to manage this battlefield.
Yeah.
And the background of someone like John Latcher, who's an academic, he has a PhD in history,
Right.
served in the United States military, came in with a vision that was, it's unprecedented to have that kind of vision and impact
Yeah, and he
at
was
Gettysburg.
and he was a controversial guy. I remember at the time, like people really, it was like people. I don't want to say they hated him because that's not nice, but like they weren't very fond of him. A lot of people weren't very fond of him. But what he did while he was in charge was great. Like, I mean, I miss it.
Right, I think so, right? And the
And I have to-
rehabilitation of the battlefield is his initiative.
And it was fantastic.
Right.
And it should be kept up. But I mean, the Culp's Hill thing, for example, they cleared that last year, and already it's going back to nature. But there's money for that. So what is happening with that? Let's take a little pause there with our questions and discussions, and we're going to talk to a caller here. I think it's Tom. Is this Tom?
Yes, it is. How you doing, Matt? Hey, Bill.
Is this Tom Canavan?
That's me.
How you doing, Tommy? What's going on?
Just weighing in as far as there's a difference between, riding bikes and rollerblades and playing cornhole. I mean, working down at Memorial, you see a lot of people do a lot of dumb things there.
Yeah.
And it comes down to people doing the right thing. If you're an American, you should have some reverence being there. I mean, there are still bodies out there in the field. God knows how many or where they are. Basically, it's still a cemetery, not just in the cemetery. That place, it's a reverent place.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have some common,
But Tom, people aren't born with this knowledge or with this idea of having respect for a battlefield. This is something that has to be taught. So where is the major malfunction? How are people not understanding this like we do?
Well, depending on how old you are, it could be education, it could be parental guidance. It could be. There's a bunch of factors for that. I mean,
so we can't.
There's no cemetery
it's hard. It's hard for us to blame the people that are playing cornhole or lighting sparklers or whatever because they really just don't know. I mean, it's like if I walk into a synagogue, I'm not Jewish. I don't know any of the traditions or customs that should be done in a synagogue. If I walk in there and somebody starts berating me, I'm not going to go play cornhole in a synagogue. I mean, I know it's a religious house and I should respect it for whatever. But it's kind of, to me, it's the same. It's like we kind of have a religiosity to this whole thing. Maybe religiosity is not the word, but we all love this stuff so much that it's very important to us, and it's almost like a religion in a weird way, at least a cult. And when people don't show it the respect we think it deserves, we go ballistic. But really, that's ridiculous of us to do.
Right, maybe we're the ones more with the problem
I
than the
think
people
so.
playing cornhole. So thinking about this like devil's advocate, and I posted about this on Twitter, and there are a ton of people on Twitter saying that they were fine with that.
Yes.
People who, you scan over the profile, they were in the military, they're serving in the military, and they said, well, were I to die somewhere, I would like to think that the place that I sacrificed my life might in some day be a place where a dad and his daughter could play cornhole. Isn't that what these men fought for? Didn't they fight for these freedoms and this unity among people. So it wasn't that maybe they were ignorant of the situation, right? It was like, that's perfectly fine with me.
And I understand that. I mean, you serve and maybe die for a country so that it can be free, or at least that's what we're told, right? And so why not let people enjoy themselves where I died?
Right.
Let's take a place of misery and hell and turn it into a place of beauty and joy. Okay, I don't have a total problem with that philosophy. But then you said there was another guy who said that I think he was saying, if I wore the uniform and if I died, I would want people to do that and everything. Or maybe that's the same guy, I don't remember. But my thought to that is, though, well, you're dead. And this place isn't put here. It wasn't the boundaries weren't created and the properties weren't bought by the dead. They were bought by the living, and it was put together by the living to remember and honor the dead. So it's really not about what you think, Mr. Dead Guy. It's about what we think and how we want to honor you. And we choose, and every generation is different, right? Like every generation that ever was the custodian of this place has always treated the battlefield differently, as you pointed out before with the racing and all that other stuff. And now we think, no, this is a place where we should show reverence and respect, and you shouldn't do that stuff. But in 10 years, the next generation is going to come along, and they're going to be like, hey, you guys are idiots. We need to have basketball courts up by the peace light and, all this stuff.
I think a lot of that ties into the cultural carrots and sticks. Like, you look at things like the Romans used to have these face masks made of the people, like the prominent people from their heritage, and they would have a whole room in their house dedicated to it. The same thing is kind of so with battlefields and monuments and the things that we kind of cherish or have a reverence for. I think the problem is that we've like a little bit turned into the entertainment, like we are like a little bit of an entertainment.
Well, it's the Disney World of Civil War sites.
Right. So like I want to go there and have fun. I don't want to go there and think on the things I need to be thinking about. Whereas for us, we're very much into it. I was in the Marine Corps. Like I've lost friends in combat. I've been to combat twice. So like for people like us in this ballpark that are well into this stuff and passionate about it, it's easy to get that. But really the only way that I think you get either a change back to having it like the reverence like we like and having holding it at a place of honor is culturally you have to get back to that.
Yes.
I don't think it's a possibility to train people up because no one's going to follow the rules.
And I agree with you, and that's the problem is if we're going to get there, the culture has to change first because this is a reflection of what the culture is now.
We need to start watching more John Wayne movies just on a whole.
Yeah. Listen, the people that are parents now are the people that used to go to their classes in college in their pajamas. Like, and that's where we are. Like, those people are 40 now. That's my age. I'm a little older than 40, but you know what I mean. And they used to wear I remember it drove me nuts. Like, girls would come in wearing pajamas to class, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then now they have children, and they run around and do whatever the hell they want to do.
Only 25% of Americans have a bachelor's degree. We're the most undereducated society in the Western world. So there's obviously a lot of factors at play here. But I was up at the 9/11 site a few years ago and was just appalled at some of the whimsical behavior at the footprint of the Twin Towers,
well,
people were doing.
Tom works there. Tom on the phone here. Tom,
thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about that. So she just mentioned the memorial. Go ahead.
People sit on the pools. They're taking selfies, leaning over. You get to the point where you start asking people, can you get off there? And they give you a hard time. And all I would say to them is, if I go to your mother, your grandmother's tombstone, and I sit on top of it, will you take offense?
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of these people, they're gone from here. They've never been found, 1,100 people. This is still a graveyard. That's the way I see Gettysburg, basically. It's still a graveyard.
Well,
there are people buried in it.
Tom, is there any sign down there at Ground Zero that indicates that people should take it that way, treat it that way?
Yes.
There is, okay. Yes, so maybe you can send a copy to Gettysburg. They can put that up.
Well, the point you're making, nobody pays attention to it. Everybody feels they're entitled to do what they want. It's not the way. Then And where do you draw the line? Okay, so you're allowing cornhole. Now are you allowing people to bring a barbecue there? And are you going to let people sit there and have a barbecue? I mean, where do you draw the line? That's part of the other problem. 100 years ago, people used to go to cemeteries on Sundays and bring a picnic lunch,
right,
and sit at their relatives, gravesite, and it was a normal thing for them to do. There is no cemetery that I know of that has a sign that says no barbecuing, in front of it. So for the people that are playing cornhole, if I go to your relatives' graves, can I set up a game and start playing there? Will it offend you? I mean, some people, I'm sure it will. Some people may say, I don't care what you do. You know? And it depends on how many generations you have.
That goes back to the whole cultural carrots and sticks, because, ideally and in theory, like, it is their graveyard because it's the country's grave. Like, it's a gravestone for everybody in the country because that's a monumental moment in the country's history. And for the most part, everybody we would be considered, talking about right now was alive when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about, the September 11th
right,
attack.
Right.
But that's the thing is
not Maria. Maria, you weren't alive then, were you? Oh, you were? Oh, I thought you were younger. Sorry.
You're good. But they don't have that. They don't have that same thought process. Like for whatever reason, there's a disconnect between what that place is intended to be and people out there receiving it as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're not making the connection, or someone isn't helping make somewhere along the way the chain, like the chain of information has been broken, right? And that they're not receiving the feeling that's my country's.
Right.
It's one of my country's tombstones.
They don't like their country anymore. So
and that could be it. It could be a million other things too, because like my wife, for instance, she's very reverent with military stuff, and especially because of me. But like we could go see something, and it's definitely not going to be the same take for her that it is for me, and that I guess is a little bit understandable because of my background. But but she would fall into the category that it's just not something that she's into, and nowadays you have to be interested in it for it to have any kind of weight in your life. You know what I mean?
It's all about me. You're right. You're absolutely right there. Hey, Tom, go ahead. You got one last thought?
That people don't realize with the 9/11 memorial is, while it's a public space, it's privately owned. It's owned by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. So people go there believing it's a park. It's not. It's a memorial. It's not a park per se. Gettysburg, they say national.
Military
and the word
park.
Military is put in military park.
Right.
Okay. It's not really wasn't meant to be a real recreational park, because you had the training of the military on there. You had POWs there. It was always a military use. Now they don't really use it for any of the military things.
Yeah.
So it just morphed into something else, and as society and the culture goes, that's what happens with Gettysburg. That's how that goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
and I always say that they should change the name and get rid of the word park, because people only think of a park as a fun place to go on the cul-de-sac in your neighborhood. Like, it's not. There's no other definition except to park a car, but like there's no other definition for the word park. And so it should, like we were saying, what should it be? Should it be national memorial, national monument, national battlefield, whatever? Still, I don't even think people understand what a memorial or a monument is. Like, there's just no reverence or respect in society anymore.
Well, there's no doubt that people come to Gettysburg for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Right. For a variety of reasons.
Right.
They come here. This battlefield gets over 1 million visitors every year. They're not all here to learn history in the great tactical detail that we do. So
sure.
No doubt we were upset about the people in the image, but also some of the reaction, I think, or lack of reaction.
Well, and then, so one of the things that drives me, and Tom, thank you very much for the call. I gotta move on. I got other people in the line here. Thank you, and I hope to see you soon, Tom.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. When you post these things, and I've done this where somebody's on a cannon or someone's on the Warren Rock, and I take a picture and I put it on Instagram, and some people, and ladies and gentlemen, when you do this, you disappoint me greatly. They come in and they go, that person should be in jail. I would shoot that person. Like really like extreme stuff, not like, oh, what a jerk, whichever, that's fine. But it's like you want a person to go to jail and lose their freedom because they stood on a rock. And that's where I start to, separate from my fellow nerds here. And I'm like, this is too extreme. Like, that is insane. And I don't want to live in that world where we're going to round people up because they want to get a picture next to Warren's statue. There's got to be a better way than a 100-year-old or 200, however, not 200, but very old bronze sign that nobody can read when the sun is in their eyes. I don't want to throw people in jail. I don't want people beaten. I don't want people shot because they get on these things. But something needs to happen somewhere in between. Like, it's got to happen. And then with you're right, with the reaction of the law enforcement, I don't know. I feel like when your orders are to enforce every rule on the books, you come off as crazy. And it's got to drive them crazy. I have a very hard time believing that anybody on law enforcement likes having to do all that stuff. Like, they do it because it's their job. Yeah. But they've got to feel like this is insane. We're enforcing every minute little rule. Yeah. You can't do that.
More enforcement with less staff.
Yeah, right, exactly.
More with less philosophy. And,
the beaver thing is another thing that is driving people nuts.
Talk about the beavers.
Yeah, let's talk about the beavers. But you know what? We're going to do this first because we're a little overdue for our second break. So let's do our second break. We're going to come back and talk about the beavers. We've got some people in the phone queue. We want to hear from more of you. 717-420-1978 is the phone number. Call in and let us know what you think about all this stuff. And when we return, well, who knows? We may be assassinated when we go out in the parking lot during this break. So we'll see. We'll see in a bit.
Have something to add to the conversation? Give us a call at 717-420-1978 and get in the queue.
Our friends at the Association of Licensed Battlefield Guides want to see you at their 2022 Fall Seminar on September 23rd through 25th. This year's topic is Hancock's Second Corps at Gettysburg, with a full weekend of education and social activities devoted to General Hancock and his Corps. The Licensed Battlefield Guides have some superb Second Corps-themed battlefield tours lined up for you, including Attack of the Irish Brigade, Caldwell Strikes the Wheat Field, and more. On top of that, there will be a Friday night speaker and dinner at the Dobbin House, Saturday night cigars at the Rupp House, maps, and other extras. And if that wasn't good enough, how about this? Special hotel room rates are available for you at the 1863 Inn of Gettysburg, but you got to make sure that you reserve a room before August 9th. Register for the tours on the ALBG website at gettysburgtourguides.org/ALBG seminar. Those dates again are September 23rd through 25th. Come and learn about Hancock and the Second Corps with your favorite licensed battlefield guides and fellow Gettys nerds. We hope to see you there.
You've heard us promote various ways that you can help us keep the show going, but one way we haven't pushed too much is our sutlery at addressinggettysburg.com/shop. That's a shame because we have designs over there by talented artists like Ty DeWitt of 1863 Designs and Mike Stretch of the Heritage Depot. So now we're promoting it. Buying shirts, hoodies, mugs, and other items from our sutlery not only helps us keep the lights on, but it also helps guys like Ty and Mike, and it helps spread the word about the show every time you wear an item or you sip from your mug. So head over to addressinggettysburg.com/shop and grab some merch. It's the perfect Christmas gift for the Gettys nerd in your family. That's addressinggettysburg.com/shop.
Gettysburg, a Nation Divided mobile app, is relaunching this summer. Gettysburg, a Nation Divided is an award-winning mixed reality mobile application using augmented reality technology. It transports users into the most crucial moments in the Battle of Gettysburg, the turning point of the Civil War. Users can listen and watch historic figures share their stories as lifelike animated avatars, traverse 360-degree image sequences of the battlefield. Its cinematic battle sequences are narrated by actor Scott Eastwood. The mobile app is available for free on iOS and Android. It's designed to be used anywhere, At home, at school, at the park, or at Gettysburg National Military Park. It uses GPS to help guide you through your journey to see the stories and events unfold at the exact location where they occurred. So go into your phone's app store and get it now for free. That's Gettysburg, a nation divided.
Need a Corps badge or other insignia for your uniform? Then check out the Badge Maker. Here's what some of his satisfied customers had to say. Miranda said, I ordered an identification disc from Joe and it's fantastic. He hand stamped it exactly as I wanted. It has a great rough on-campaign feel to it and was reasonably priced to boot. Greg said, my unit has purchased from him in the past. Quality badges and good service. And Jerry S. says, the Badge Maker is the go-to place for accurate replica Civil War badges. Visit CivilWarCorpsBadges.com and attach a message with your order saying you heard about him on Addressing Gettysburg.
The Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center, Gettysburg's premier museum, is housed in the historic Lutheran Seminary building constructed in 1832, a witness to the first day of battle. The museum's 3 floors of exhibits connect visitors to the dilemmas that led to the Civil War, provide a powerful and personal view of the battle's first day, and explore one of the battlefield's largest hospitals. No visit to the Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center is complete without a guided tour of the building's famous cupola, where on the eve of battle, officers and civilians saw thousands of Confederate soldiers' campfires burning to the west, and Brigadier General John Buford watched for vital federal reinforcements as fighting erupted on July 1st. Today, you can stand where Buford stood and delivered the line,
"There's a devil to pay,"
and discover how this view helped chart the course of the Battle of Gettysburg. Trust me when I say, ladies and gentlemen, your trip to Gettysburg is not complete without a serious visit to the Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center, Gettysburg's premier museum. Go to www.seminaryridgemuseum.org or find them at 111 Seminary Ridge, Gettysburg. The Seminary Ridge Museum and Education Center. It all began here. Our favorite bookstore in Gettysburg is For the Historian, located at 42 York Street. Isn't it, Eric?
You're darn tootin', Matt.
It's because they have the best selection of Civil War books in Gettysburg. And online, they have even more books to choose from.
But Matthew, what if the Civil War is simply not my thing?
Not a problem, my fine four-fendered friend. This is For the Historian, after all. They cover history from the ancient world to the 21st century with a strong selection of World War II and American Revolution books.
It's astounding how they squeeze thousands of titles from Osprey, Savas Beatty, UNC Press, and more into their store.
And it's also astounding how you and I both squeeze into our pants every day. Well, handsome, they have a warehouse too, and that's where they keep all those books that are available online at forthehistorian.com. And folks, if you go to forthehistorian.com now and order books until you're blue in the face, be sure you mention that you heard about them on Addressing Gettysburg in the Note to Seller box, and they will refund your shipping costs.
What if I prefer to browse in the store and don't want to go online to get my books?
Great question, Doodlebug. Just mention Addressing Gettysburg at checkout, and they'll take 20% off the retail price of your item. So go to forthehistorian.com, stop by 42 York Street, or call 717-685-5207. That's forthehistorian.com or 717-685-5207.
This special episode of Addressing Gettysburg is brought to you in part by me, audiobook narrator Mike Scott. Narrator of Savas Beatty's Bloody Autumn, the Shenandoah Valley Campaign of 1864, and Unlike Anything That Ever Floated, the Monitor and Virginia and the Battle of Hampton Roads. If you are an author or publisher interested in having your titles produced as audiobooks, or even just in learning more about the process, give me a shout. You can find my contact info on my website, MikeScottVoice.com. That's MikeScottVoice.com. Hey, historian, author, and licensed battlefield guide Tim Smith. Matt gave me a full minute, so let me ask you an important question. Isn't it about time that John Burns' Hero of Gettysburg became an audiobook? Sickles has an audiobook. You know Jenny Wade is going to deserve an audiobook. Let's give John a shot. Get in touch, Tim. It's MikeScottVoice.com. I'm Mike Scott, your voice of history.
And Civil War Trails. It's the world's largest open-air museum, and they offer over 1,300 sites across 6 states. Drive the Gettysburg campaign turn by turn, paddle to Frederick Douglass's birthplace, or hike to remote earthworks and artillery positions. Visit civilwartrails.org to request a brochure and explore their interactive map. follow Civil War trails, and create some history of your own.
You're listening to the Addressing Gettysburg podcast with Matt Callery.
You're back with Cam's Idol.
That was years ago.
Here's Matt.
So while we were on break, our buddy Joe from Peach Orchard Publishing came in, and he said that the motorcycles are crazy out there, right? I can't hear you over the motorcycle. Can't hear you, Joe. I still can't hear you, Joe. The motorcycle is just too loud. Sorry, what? What are you trying to say, Joe? I don't know what you're saying. Okay,
So
now it's time
to
to
get
talk.
into Gettysburg,
Yeah.
you basically have to have tabs.
What? I'm sorry. Wait, it's starting up again. What? I can't hear you. Okay, I'm sorry. That's what it's like. By the way, folks, if you've never been here on Bike Week, that's literally what it's like if you're eating out at like a beer garden somewhere. That's what it's like sitting out there trying to have a conversation. I'm not even exaggerating, am I?
No, that's the truth.
That is the truth. That's the way they do it.
I'm so stuck. There's like, I don't even know what to do. Here I am, like this liberal, tiny Jewish guy in the middle of this cluster bike, and I'm like just trying to stay low and stay quiet and not talk.
Right.
Like I'm just, if they don't hear me speak, and if I
They
don't
won't
move,
know you're
I don't
Jewish?
know.
What does
So
being Jewish have to do with it?
Their vision is by sight. So if you just hold still, like they can't see.
They don't know you're. They're like, what is that animal? Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it was fun. It is good. Thank you for having me.
Good. All right. Now back to what we. Well, actually, we got some callers here, and then Colby. After the call, I want to try with you and the people in the comment section there. Okay, so if you don't mind, Dan, are you on the phone? Hello, Dan. 720 area code. Dan. Going once. Going twice. Dan Geddes.
That's me.
Okay, yes. Hello, Dan. Did you forget the name that
Actually,
you
my
gave?
name is Steve Fan.
Oh, okay. It says in my auto screener, it says Dan Geddes. So what did you say? What did you tell it when you...
I said Steve Fan. I didn't know this was such a second-rate production.
It's not even that. I would love to be second rate. Listen, Steve, you were there with me. Go ahead. Tell the story.
I mean, I'm just disappointing, but not too surprised by, that's kind of what a lot of parks are having to deal with now. Recreation is exploding at all park sites, county sites, state sites, and obviously national park sites, including historic sites. And, it's a bit unsettling, but there's only so much I think an undersized staff can do. So, how do we proceed moving forward? I know it was the 4th of July, but this is a common occurrence that happens every single day. So,
yeah.
Obviously I'm being careful with the things I say here, but I was obviously disappointed. I was upset, but also not surprised. I really came on to kind of support you guys and obviously support all the things that you're doing and kind of hear what the things everyone else had to say. But yeah, it was not surprised. I've done this a long time now, and are we surprised that there are people playing cornhole on battlefields like Gettysburg? I don't think we should be surprised at all, unfortunately.
No, I agree with you. And like you said, it's happening everywhere. And so maybe that means that the culture is changing, and moving forward, the American culture doesn't care about this stuff enough to be reverent around it. And maybe we're the dinosaurs. Maybe we're old-fashioned. Jen, what do you think about that?
I tend to be more pessimistic than optimistic, but I hope not. I hope not.
I hope not too. But look around us. Like all sense of everything is crumbling.
That's certainly true at a lot of levels, and maybe parallels some broader political trends in our nature for sure, in our country for sure.
Yeah.
But our job, I'm a history professor, so my job is to make people care about this place. So I can impact change in that way. And my colleagues who work here and at other sites, and the work you're doing, right? That's our job, is to make people care. So if we're out there and people are playing cornhole, is that an opportunity to engage with them and try to explain to them why that's not appropriate?
I mean, it is if you're that type to do that. I mean, I'm sure not everybody would feel comfortable doing that. Like if I judge that the person playing cornhole could beat me up, I don't want to do it.
Maybe you could beat them at cornhole.
Oh, maybe that's what we could do. Okay, guys,
Cornhole.
if I win against you in cornhole, then you got to leave. Yeah. All right, maybe I need to start practicing cornhole and get used to it. But no, so Steve, I remember I actually the look of disappointment on your face when the first time the patrol car went right by us after you notified. I could see that you were like disappointed. Like, I actually thought you were going to cry.
I wouldn't, it's, I don't know. I try to be optimistic about this, and as much as possible, I think the idea of, these are public spaces, and I think for a long time, we've had issues. I'm talking about we in regards to just public land spaces in general of getting people into our parks, diversifying our green spaces, wherever that may be. Yeah, I was disappointed, but I understood, kind of in the aftermath of why, in regards to there were so many people out and about. And I remember leaving. I left kind of early, and there was a lot of emphasis on getting people safely in and out of the park, which I think makes a lot of sense, because that seemed to be one of the major focuses of what was going on that night, right? And so who knows what was going on in other areas of the park. I mean, that entire road, there was a lot of people out there, and I think there was a lot of people doing different things. And so, should they have stopped maybe every couple minutes and, done something? I think in a perfect world, of course, but I think, they're doing the best they can. And I don't know. Again, I see this as an opportunity of engaging with the public, especially people, likely those people who haven't been to Gettysburg before, and I think I understand it was late, but, imagine having staff on hand to walk through the battlefield at that moment and engage with the public, right? In a very professional manner, and talk about, hey, these are kind of park policies. We're happy that you're out here and stuff, but there are certain things that you should and shouldn't do. But let's talk about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you don't need to necessarily have a law enforcement officer. Maybe just some interpretive rangers. Maybe they volunteer to come and wear a uniform. People see a uniform and they automatically assume you have some authority. So you got or volunteers like.
Vest, like an orange reflective vest.
Nah, then you're just a nerd. Then you just get beaten up.
Early college kids out there for volunteer hours, like they count towards something that they need.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there you go.
One of those
Excuse me, sir. You can't be playing cornhole by Cushing's battery.
I mean, people might find that annoying, but I think there wouldn't be any cornhole going on.
No, but so. There's Park Watch. We have Park Watch. Why can't we have Park Watch volunteers at these different spots saying, hey, please don't do that?
I would love to hear more about where Park Watch might have been. I'd seen one of the social media posts. I think it was on the park website. Someone made a comment acting in that post with some authority that we took care of the issue. And
and that was a lie.
And the next day I went back to look on the thread, and that particular person had deleted that post.
Yes.
So that's curious. Who speaks for the park? And in that particular instance, who does that?
And the thing is, though, that someone else came in and said, we might be talking about the same person, but they said that they spoke to someone who was privy to all that information, I guess on law enforcement or whatever, and they told this person that it was taken care of. And I just went in and I said, that's a bold-faced lie. I was there. We're the ones that called them. Like, it's a lie. They're lying.
Yeah.
So I don't like that either. But there's and so we said this before. Steve, thank you for the call, unless you have something else to add. I'm sorry, Dan Geddes, thank you for the call, unless you have something else to add.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, I'm just going to listen up. Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay. Thank you. Love you. Okay. So What was I saying now? I forgot what I was saying. What the hell were we just talking about?
Lies.
Yeah, keep going.
Maybe sort of like a thought about ownership. I sort of feel like Gettysburg
no, wait.
is.
I got it. Wait, before I forget.
Okay.
Don't forget what you were going to say. In the thread, when we were going back and forth, I said, we could sit here and complain like everybody else and do nothing, but I would rather offer a solution and figure out a way that we can help the park with this stuff. Now, I know full well that if we did what I'm proposing we do and said to them, we have this all in line and we want to help you, they would say no. But let them say no, and then they look bad and we don't.
Well, I like that idea, for sure. And there were plenty of people on that thread commenting to do a variety of things, whether that is take care of a monument area, in the adoptive position.
They canceled that.
The landscape improvements. Who owns Gettysburg, right? Whose park is this, and for what person?
The American people.
And I think we all have a responsibility to be stewards of this landscape and stewards of the story. So some of those roles are big at times, and some of those roles are small at times, but we cannot abdicate our authority in preserving this landscape and telling the story of the men who fought and died here. That's our responsibility.
Totally agree with you. It is everybody's responsibility, not just the parks. Ryan from Alabama, you're on the air.
That's me. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. How are you?
I am hot in Alabama. I know it's hot up there, but it's probably even hotter here. Yeah, I saw you guys were on, and I wanted to call in. I'm not going to pretend like I have some kind of, amazing insight here or anything else.
All right. We'll talk to you later. No, just kidding.
Okay. See you. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh, you listen.
I thought I'd throw in the sound effect there for you.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
No, but one little perspective. There we go. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I know. I'm sorry. There is no time. There is no time.
There's no time. That's right.
There is no time.
The perspective I have, I guess I should say, I do have ancestors that were on the field at Gettysburg. One that died on the third day, and two others. One was wounded on the first day, and then they were on the other side, 100 yards away or a couple hundred yards away from the other relative that died. So, yeah, I mean, those of us who do have, I guess a sort of an ancestral or personal connection, obviously I think we all feel kind of a sense of, hey, this is like the cemetery, this is where my ancestor, bled out, or,
right.
Whatever the case may be. And,
Or
you don't have to have
as
an
the caller
ancestor
before
there.
pointed out, there are people still under the ground there that we haven't found.
Exactly. But you don't have to have an ancestor there, I think, to feel that connection.
No.
I had no idea that I had ancestors there when I first went there in 1995 as a kid. And I'm like, oh, we found out, oh, hey, this guy was here. And then just a few years ago, I found out, oh, yeah, I had guys in the North Carolina regiment that were there too. And it's just,
Maybe
you don't
that's what
have
we
to
should
have
do.
that personal connection.
Next year, when I see cornholers, I'm going to go up to them and say, hey, what's your last name? And they'll be like, whatever the hell it is. I'm like, oh, Frank, whatever the hell it is from the, and I'll just
First
make
Virginia.
up shit. Yeah. And I'll be like, yeah, man, you got a relative here. And then maybe then they'll care. Maybe that's what it takes. You have to have a relative here.
Personal connection.
Yeah. Otherwise, who cares?
Yep.
Which I don't understand because I don't have a personal
Maybe-
connection to it,
maybe
but it
so.
matters a lot to me. What? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you do have a personal connection, even if it's not ancestral. I mean, we all come to Gettysburg or Antietam or Manassas or whatever the place is, whether we realize you don't know your ancestor. You're told because you see a name in a book.
Right.
We do have a personal connection. Maybe it's started because of the movie. Maybe it started because of the late, great Civil War Journal, which hardly anybody talks about anymore.
I used to love that
Awesome
show. Yeah, it was
But
great.
that was one of the points that I was going to make about that was there was an episode of Civil War Journal, and it was completely dedicated to preserving battlefields. And I can't remember if it was John Hennessy or it was Brian Pohanka. And they made a point at some point in that episode that these are some of the last kind of remaining big green spaces in our country, or at least, kind of on the eastern seaboard, I guess you could say. and kind of these public green spaces.
Yeah.
And that's going to bring different ideas of how to use that. Is it just for commemoration? Is it for going up on Little Round Top and kind of enjoying the sunset, whether you think about the battle there or not? There's some good that comes with the bad, I think, and we have to be prepared for that. The last thing I will say, what you guys were just talking about with Steve or Dan Geddes, sorry.
Dan Geddes, yeah.
Is the Dan Geddes, yeah. The Liberty Rifles thing this past weekend.
Yes.
Which unfortunately, I was unable to make.
It was
I was
very
actually
cool.
registered for it, and I ended up going to France last month, so I kind of had to cut that trip out. So, but yeah, I mean, you look at the videos and you see all this kind of stuff. Those are the kinds of things that if the visitors do go and see, like the 40 guys come back from Fun Run, walk back to the memorial.
Right.
That's going to affect you, and I think that's definitely going to affect the way you see things. And unfortunately, we can't do that every weekend. We can't do that every week. But maybe there's opportunity there to do more of those things, not just at Gettysburg, but at other battlefields. And I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling, guys.
No, those are good suggestions, and let me know how that works out for you.
I'll do my best to organize it all myself.
Okay, let us know if we can help you. Ryan, thank you for the call.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Colby, what do we got in the comments section? Anything good over there?
Yeah, we got.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. I muted you because people were talking. Go ahead.
We've got a few good things.
So the Alex show is going on in the corner over there. I don't know if you heard, Colby. I don't know if you heard. The Alex show. Oh, he's blaming it on Joe. It's the Joe show.
Joe show.
The Joe show's going on while it's the Amy show. Okay. Now we know what's going on here. All right, go ahead. What do you got in there?
Let me see. Let me get back up here. There were some good ones early on. Let me get back up to good old Mike Lentz here.
6 questions
Mike,
left.
yeah, 6 questions. Had a great comment regarding mountain howitzers here at Gettysburg.
Okay. Back to the mountain howitzers.
So he says the reason why probably no one's heard of them is there were a battery of mountain howitzers at Gettysburg connected with a battalion of men armed with slingshots and the cavalry troop of lancers. They formed the Antiquated Legion. And he finishes by just kidding. But if he would have left just kidding off and gave us one more good point about it, I'd have believed.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
Civil War was a transitional period.
Right. Thomas Canavan, he's got another good one. They arrived late, transported by elephants fed on Virginia peanuts. Not used because they were deemed not practicable.
Okay. All right.
Robert E. Lee said that twice in one day. You must have.
Anybody have anything about what we're talking about with the park or cornholing?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few back and forths. No one seems to be super.
Who disagrees with us? Anybody disagree with us? Nobody seems to be serious.
I did like the if we can cornhole at the angle. I want badminton on Iverson's pit.
There you go.
That was a good one.
All
Jamie left that. 6 questions said again. Volleyball on Barlow's Knoll. Thought that was good. Let's see here.
All right, so really nothing.
Nothing blowing my socks
Nothing that's
off.
going to move the conversation forward or anything like that. Okay. All right, so we got Ryan, another Ryan, it looks like, on the phone here. Ryan, talking about motorcycles on the battlefield.
Hey, it's actually Brian.
Okay, Brian.
Hey, hello, Matthew.
Pretty good. How are you?
Hey, I was up there with my wife. Up there with my wife in September this past week.
Oh yeah, Brian Helton. Okay.
My first inclination when I first looked over at the motorcycles, I was like, or not the motorcycles, but the cornholers, I was really disgusted. But the more I've thought about it, gosh, I don't know. I mean, don't you think the guys that were there on the 3rd in that morning, if they'd have saw somebody over there throwing cornholes, oh, I hear it, they would have, they would have been over there trying to play with him probably.
Sure, because if they could take time away from their gambling.
But here's the other side to that, because not that I am a Civil War veteran, but I am a veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan, and I've had friends get killed over in combat.
Right.
And as the surviving person of that group, I would be offended by that.
You're right, because you saw your buddies die.
Right, so
right
there's
there.
a reverence built
Yeah.
into it, you know.
But now, what
so-
happens when the whole generation is dead?
You know, then again, like,
It's up to us to protect them.
It's up to the like this is like it's really how society views, you know, where it places, you know, that as a whole on its importance list, right? Like as a not just the people that are passionate about history or passionate about, you know, like the military affairs of the country, but on a base level, if it's not high up on the importance, you know, chart, it's not gonna get the reverence that you find between the people that are passionate about it.
Yeah. You know, we're going to get to the Beavers in a second, but real quick, I wanted to, we were making some Bike Week references here. The other day, I was out, I had my recorder, and these guys were sitting at the light, revving their engines, you know, and I recorded it because I wanted people to hear how obnoxious it is. That's not the sound I've been playing. I got that off of YouTube. But here it is. And what's interesting, if you listen closely, for those of you with headphones on, if you listen closely, you can hear they're talking. You can't make out what it is, but this is the beauty of modern technology, because I'm going to play the out of the recorder version of it first, and then I was able to actually like lower the motorcycle sound and get their voices, although the quality's not great, but you can still make out what they're saying. So here's the first one, the original. All right, you get the idea. Now, here it is a little played with.
Hey, Terry, do you have a small wiener too? What? I said, do you have a small wiener too? Your wiener, is it small? Mine is small. That's why I do this. You got a small wieners?
Yeah, mine's small too. This is the only time I feel like a big man.
There you go.
So can we connect the two maybe for a quick second
Sure.
before we move on to the Beavers? And we've spent however long lambasting the cornhole, but what is different about the motorcycle week?
Well, thank
the town cultivates
Hey,
this weekend.
can I get back in
right?
again?
The businesses do. So
Yep.
why are we upset about cornholing, which was spontaneous and an isolated incident, when this town thrives off of motorcycle week?
That's a great point. And that's the thing. That's the, like, there's always been this, like, tension between the park and the town, because there's, you know, things the town does that the park doesn't like, and I'm sure Bike Week is one of them. And then there's many more things that the park does that the town doesn't like.
Right.
And yeah, that's part of it. So, but it's a great point though, because the motorcycles to me are loud and obnoxious. And not only are the engines loud and obnoxious, but these guys, you know, they got their music blasting. So you got, you know, Lynyrd Skynyrd and this horrible freaking noise in the background.
It could be worse though. I mean, at least it's Lynyrd Skynyrd.
It's like, give me 3 steps, give me 3. But it's always in those shitty speakers too. It's like,
Give me 3 steps, mister. Give me 3 steps towards the door. And then they go flying all over the place.
That's way more destructive to the resource and to the serenity of the battlefield than a family playing cornhole.
I agree with you on that. I mean, that can't be good. The vibrations can't be good for the monuments.
The smoke shit that
smoke.
comes out of their...
Isn't that why they moved Webb Avenue? Because of the monuments getting all smoked with bus soot and everything? Is that one of the reasons why they moved it? I thought I heard that somewhere.
Very possible. I'm not sure, but...
I'm not either. Beavers.
Beavers.
Oh, Joe, what?
I do. I have a counterpoint here.
Okay, go ahead. Joe's going to play devil's advocate here.
I am.
Go ahead.
Hey, all right.
To the motorcycles?
No, to the cornhole.
Oh, to the cornhole.
To the cornhole.
Okay.
I got to know that bikers can feel kind of sand. Yeah, thank you, everybody. So I, too, am an Iraqi guy, and I, too, lost friends there. But, so with the cornhole, where do you draw the line? Yay! Where do you draw the line at this point? Where do you become the grumpy old man that says, get off of my lawn?
Right.
You know, if you start with, you can't play cornhole here, and... Fuck you all. When you...
Just do it.
When you
Go
say
ahead.
you can't play cornhole...
Right.
At what point Then do you say, hey, kids can't climb on the cannons, which I also don't agree with, or you can't walk on the grass, or you can't walk even across Iverson's
Well, but we
pits?
already say you can't walk or climb on the cannons. That's
Well, we
already
do,
the rule.
But you got to kick every kid on the battlefield off then. You can't have children. You can't have pets. You can't walk across Iverson's pits. You can't draw that line unless they're doing something destructive. You know, this is our church. I get it. Gettysburg is my church, and that's why I come here. But there are plenty paths to that God that is Gettysburg. And so you can't really draw that line unless you open up that Pandora's box and they start taking away everything else from us.
Well, that's what I am saying is eventually going to happen, because if you're going to, tell a rollerblader he can't rollerblade, then rollerbladers are going to say, well, that guy's riding a bike.
Yeah.
Well, then you can't ride a bike either, because it's not fair to the rollerbladers. The rollerbladers can't have it, then your bikes, you can't have it either. Okay, well, what about the guy on the Segway? Well, he can't do that either, because that's an unnatural looking thing. That can't be no. So we got to get rid of that. So now everything has to go because you tell one person they can't do it. And we with bicycles, they changed the I don't know if it was ever a rule or if it was an exception that they allowed, but for as long as I can remember, the Park Service told bicyclists, ride against traffic for your own safety. Why? Because people in their cars are not looking ahead. They're looking to the right or to the left, because that's where the monuments and other sites are. So they can roll up on you without you knowing it, and you have the advantage going against traffic. This is what I was told when I opened Gettysburg. And it made sense to me. You know why it made sense to me? Because even when I learned how to ride a bike back home as a little kid, it never made sense for me to have my back to the danger. It makes sense to see the danger coming so I can get out of the friggin' way. So I was like, this is great, because now I can safely take my customers out there. That rule changed. I can no longer safely take my customers out there. I have to jeopardize them, their safety, by taking them on roads that are not good for bicycles. What was the point of bringing that up? Oh, the answer was safety. The answer was safety, and we follow the rules of the state that we're in. The rules of the road say bicycles go with traffic. Well, I looked it up, and those are under the suggestions on the PennDOT website, not the rules or the laws. They suggest you go with traffic. I think they actually call it a tip. It's not even a rule. But if we are following the rules of the road, rollerblades are allowed, skateboards are allowed on the road, aren't they? I see people going all the time. No cops are pulling them over. Those stupid little, what do they call them, hoverboards or whatever?
The one-wheel thing?
The one-wheel thing. Like, all these things are allowed on the roads. So then they should be allowed on the roads here, unless we're selectively enforcing certain rules and things like that. And I think government on all levels just assumes that the public is stupid and afraid of them. And so when they speak, they lie, or they misrepresent, or they're not being fully truthful with you, because you're nothing but a peon to them. And if I'm wrong, then the behavior is not matching up with the opposite of what I just said, if that makes any sense. So the beavers, and we'll
about the beavers.
We'll close with that. What is this here? Bicycle rules. Oh, look at this, and it's on like fake parchment and everything. Now this goes back. These are like old bicycle rules.
That's very early.
Yeah, here. Let me read some of them. Is there one in particular that's funny?
They're all kind of funny.
Okay, here we go. Bicycle rules from when is this? Well, let's see. This is John P. Nicholson, William Robbins, Charles Richardson, Secretary of War Alger. So this is a while ago. Okay, so here we go. Bicycles and tricycles shall possess. My eyes are getting bad. All the rights and privileges now accorded to carriage drawn by horses, and shall strictly comply with all rules of the road, and in addition thereto, will be subject to the following rules and regulations. Every machine must be provided with a bell, which shall be so arranged that it shall be under the complete control of the person riding the wheel, and shall be distinctly heard at a distance of 30 yards. Sleigh bells, large gong bells, and continuous ringing bells and whatever our caller is banging on in the background there being inadmissible. Inadmissible. So you can't have loud...
No gongs.
No gongs. Who's going to carry a gong on their bike? Do you see what I mean? Every machine, while in motion, must have a lighted lamp after dark, which lamp must be attached either to the axle of the front wheel, the fork, or front standard of the bicycle. Said lamp must show a white light in front and either no light or a red light in the rear. Chinese lanterns not permitted. Even racist against lanterns back in those days. Jesus. Machines must not be stacked within 10 feet of driveways, although wheelmen may rest them at proper times and places. Okay. Not more than 2 machines shall be ridden abreast. Because I said breast.
I did.
What are you, a child? How old are you?
And then in my head, I think you can just put beavers every time that you say bike in there. If you put the word beavers, I think that rule should apply.
In any case where a bicycle meets or overtakes any horse, which may become restive, such bicyclist shall take every precaution by dismounting or otherwise to avoid danger. Well, that's good advice. Wheelmen must follow the ordinary rules of the road. In meeting an opposing vehicle, they must pass on the right-hand side. In passing a vehicle, there's so many more bicycle rules back then than there are now. Now it's go with traffic. I think that, and no riding on the grass and trees or trails. Blowing of horns, playing of musical instruments or any kind or having musical instruments, shades, or awnings attached. What kind of bicycles did they have back then? You have awnings on them? That's pretty awesome.
So what do you think the takeaway is about that? That every steward of the park deals with access and how visitors experience the battlefield. None of the conversations we're having are new today.
No.
Right? They've been had for generations. We're just part of them now.
Yes.
This is our time to be stewards of the battle.
Yes, and now we're speaking about it. I have a target on my back for speaking about it publicly, but whatever. That's how it goes. But yeah, no, you're right, and none of this stuff is new, and there's always been stuff. I mean, look, that middle school used to be park property, and I don't know what that deal was, but that was the worst thing ever.
Yep.
And I don't know how those people reacted back then, but I'm sure people weren't happy about that.
Well, that's one thing researching for my dissertation, which became my book, is that's one of the biggest takeaways, that this battlefield, this area in history on our historic landscape is more contentious than any other place in American.
Why do you think that is?
On American soil.
Why? Why do we love it so much? Why here?
Right, and that's an excellent question. I don't think I can explain it concisely.
I've done 2 episodes entitled Why Gettysburg, and I asked people to send in recordings of them answering that question. And most people, it's a spiritual reason, but nobody really knows. Everybody, nobody knows. But we all have this love for this place, and it's a special place to us, but we don't know why.
Well, I think that the target on your back comment, we're having this conversation out of a good place.
Yes.
We are having this conversation not as to attack any of our friends or colleagues who work for the National Park Service, but because we care about the landscape and the story and the preservation of the site here so that it's available for future generations of Americans. We are the steward of this story in the landscape. I keep saying steward.
But you're right. That's the
best way
word.
to describe our role.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I hear what people on the street say about the Park Service. And I know people that work for the Park Service who I like very much, and I think they do great jobs. And I don't think it's fair that just if they're wearing that uniform, then people just look at them a certain way. But they're not the ones making these decisions. They're not the ones who you really want to blame. Like people call the newly forming lake down there in the Valley of Death, Lake Caldwell, or Crawford, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But I argue that we need to find out who it is that's not allowing those beavers to be removed and name the lake after them, like publicly. And I don't believe it's Sims. I don't believe it's him, but I could be wrong. From what I hear from people, my sources, it's higher than him. That's disallowing any movement on the beaver front that is allowing that lake to form. So whoever that person is, that's who we need to name it after.
I'm sure there's the regional office has a lot of problems. They oversee over 80 parks in Philadelphia, so they have a lot of parks to manage. And I don't imagine they're terribly in tune to the situation on the ground. But I think there are people in the Gettysburg management now who have backgrounds in biology and natural resources in positions of decision making that maybe aren't, because of their unique background, quite what we would like to see as people who are interested in history.
Because they're forgetting what this park is supposed to be about.
Right. This is not for scenery. It's not a environmental sort of experience. It's not for marine wildlife.
Right.
This is a
we don't
natural
want to
military
dump toxic waste on the place, but that's not the purpose of the place. It's a historic site.
Yep.
Yeah. So the beavers, real quick, let's finish with that. The beavers. They've been there for what, 2 or 3 years now, I think.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
But it's gotten really out of hand now. You can't go. If you want to go walk up to that monument, you got to wear your galoshes. Like it's swamp at best. On the driest day, it's swamp. On the worst day, it's an island. The monument. And it's what's so funny though. Just like with everything else in this world, you've got Team Beaver and you've got Team Mozart, and we've got T-shirts coming out soon, ladies and gentlemen. By the way. Which you might want to start, Alex, you going to buy one of those? Yeah, you might want to start pre-ordering them. And also, don't forget to get tickets since we're going to probably be put out of business by the park after this. But so Team Beaver, Team Mozart. And people are like, no, I think they should leave the beavers. I like that they're there. And then there's other people that are like, well, that's not the point of this place. If you want to go look at beavers, there's plenty of other places you can go and stare at frickin' beavers. And I mean the animals. And so,
we are children.
It's. Well, your mic is open. What are you laughing at?
Did you hear that noise?
Anyway. So, yeah, what do you think they should do about that? And I heard, have you heard this too, that they were offered help for free to remove them?
To trap and remove them.
And relocate them to a safe place.
Yeah.
And?
That's the same thing I heard. And
Did you hear it from someone that you believe? Like it's a reliable?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And why that route wasn't taken, I don't know. I maybe could speculate. But that's not useful.
No,
That's just
speculation is not useful. Of course not. No, and that's the thing. Again, I go back to this. Is like we're not getting any answers. If we do get answers, they're often smarmy. Alex is nodding his head. You've noticed the smarm. They're just cold and like basic and very vague. Little round top. What is it going to look like when it's done? Do you know? Have you seen any plans?
I have not. Same for Devil's Den. What will that look like? The gigantic walls of non-historic woodlot, the trees, the overbrush is concerning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the articulated philosophy of preservation and interpretation is at the park now.
No, I don't. Nobody does. And I used to joke when people would ask, like if I would do a live video on Little Round Top, and people would ask me, well, what are they doing to it when they close it? Everybody's scared. They're all scared, like they're going to chop Little Round Top down or something. And people would ask me, like, what are you doing? I don't know. I don't know anything more than anybody else does. So I would just make something up, and I would just go with the most absurd thing. But the more I think about it, I think this is exactly right, and this is what they're going to do. They're going to put giant plexiglass walls up around the pathways that they make. And you can look out at the view, but only through the plexiglass. You can't go off the pathways. You can't go down to like the 16th Michigan Monument anymore. It's just going to be right at the top of the hill. Paved pathways, plexiglass wall. You'll be walled in. That's what I think is going to happen. What, Alex? Go ahead. I can't understand your... Just what? Speak loudly.
That's stakes.
Yes, well, that's your park. That's your future park there.
Right, so access.
Yeah.
Right, where you used to be able to walk maybe the path of Benning's Brigade. You could walk that terrain now, and that's no longer walkable.
Nope.
The terrain has just grown up such that it precludes that sort of experience that they worked so hard to cultivate in the early 2000s.
Do you think... Because, they say staffing and budget. That's why we're not mowing all the lawns or grass and whatever, fields. Do you believe that?
I'm sure it's a factor, to be sure.
But wasn't that a factor last year?
Well, it looks worse this year, doesn't it?
No, but they were mowing last year. I mean, wasn't budget and staffing a factor last year? Hasn't that been the factor for everybody, everywhere, public or private sector, since 2020?
Yeah.
Money and staffing. But yet everybody else figures out a way to do it. So to me, either they're saying we're incompetent and we can't do anything with what we have, which I don't think is true, or this is what they're going to do. This is part of the plan, and it's to restrict access because it's some environmental park now. It's not a historic park anymore. It's not a military park. We're just going to let it go back to nature and be, to hell with the monuments, to hell with where you want to go. That's just not your father's Oldsmobile. Like it's the new world. Not New World Order. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a new world.
Yeah, I think the restriction of access comes in a couple ways, and some people listening might be interested to know that if you wanted to come into the battlefield and do research in the park library or the park archives, you can no longer come in and do any sort of research because they don't have the staff to facilitate researchers coming into the archives or the library. So if you want to come in and research your ancestor, used to be able to do that. That's not an option or an alternative any longer.
No, and that's sad because there's some cool stuff down there. Let's see what France? Is it Fran or France? You're on the air, whoever you are. Hello. 614 area code.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Who's this? Hello. They just hung up.
It's like the call in with
They got
Paul
stage
Bonham.
fright.
What's going
Yeah.
on there?
Okay. Wait. We got another one here. They're in the middle of screening, but we're just going to go hello, 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 hello. Are you there? No. Caller, please turn your radio down. 215 area code. It's your turn. Hello. Are you there?
Didn't this play out?
Hi.
I don't know. Hello.
Hello. You have to turn your radio down.
Yeah.
Or turn your phone or whatever
Okay.
computer.
I have to turn. Yeah. All right. It's Estella.
Oh, hey, Stella. How are you?
All right. I'm working on that. I'm fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, Stella, Team Beaver or Team Mozart? What are you? Team Beaver or Mozart?
Oh, I am definitely not for the Beavers at all.
Okay.
And I guess my concern with calling is with staff shortage. If I would go to that monument and I would stand there with a New Yorker, I might be embarrassed to say to them that I am a part of the foundation for the park. I donate to them yearly.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd want to tell them that after, saying, look at the park, isn't it great? But look at your monument.
Well,
I'm really concerned about the staff shortage and where the money is being budgeted for those who renew for the foundation every year.
Well, well, hold on. So the foundation, though, is separate from the Park Service. I know they have that little marriage that they have, but I don't know if donating to the foundation necessarily is reflected by the monument being swamped. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I would ask the foundation that, where does the money go? I don't really know. But
okay.
But regardless, my feeling is that the beaver issue is not about not having the money to do it, because they were offered by professionals to do it for free.
Yeah,
they were going to remove them for free.
To have it done for free. Yeah.
What'd you say?
And I
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I heard that same thing too. So it's just, I don't know. It's just the staff shortage and everything just really I don't know. I'm concerned about that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm concerned about a lot of things that I've heard that I won't get into here. But you know, and you know, like I feel very uncomfortable doing this show today because I feel like someone from the Park Service who's currently employed there who can speak on these matters should be here with us. You know, like and they're always welcome to come here, but they won't do it. And you know, whatever.
Right.
It's not like they have to. I mean, you know, it's only 100,000 people a month that'll listen to this, but still, like, you know, it's weird that we're talking about them and we have access to them. We know people in it, you know, but it's just like you can't get them, and so everybody has to sit here and wonder and speculate. And I heard this, and I heard that, and all that other stuff. Amy, do you have something that you're? What? Go ahead, grab that microphone, Amy. Hold on, Estella. Amy is moving over. Okay, it's not that complicated, Joe. Just there you go. Just grab the mic. Okay, go ahead, Amy. Now you got to speak into the mic, Amy. No, you got to point the mic at you. There you go. You got it.
But what I think you're doing today is exactly what your co-host is saying, and you are being great stewards by presenting all of these things. So even though somebody's not here today to talk about this from a higher level, you're creating this conversation and you're waking up people.
I hope they don't take it as bashing because it's not. We're not.
I look at everything as an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I come completely from the outside, looking in and listening and being here with you guys. From the outside, I have a much different take.
What is your take
than your
from the
cornhole
outside?
view or the beaver?
Yeah. What is your view of my cornhole?
So the cornhole of yours, as I've got to know it.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So my view is, the first thing is you mentioned 1 million people a year come to this park. Well, I think that's 1 million opportunities to create awareness and then infiltrate other generations. So I think that's
I
great.
agree. I mean, to create awareness of what?
What, as stewards, you choose your message to be. I also think it's systemic. And I think that puts you guys in an interesting position to have your view when it comes from the top, right? So again, I'm new. I don't know who's at the top. But whomever is at the top is making decisions. So when you watch somebody drive by 6 times and not take action on sparklers or cornhole, you're like, "Urgh." But you don't really know what's going on in that vehicle or what the message is. So I think the start is this is an opportunity to create that conversation and to bring people in to the place that you love. This is your guys' home, and this is what you guys do, and this is what makes it so passionate for you. So you're a very elite 1% group. Then you have your 1 million people that come here. You're in all sorts of different ways. So the good news is, 1, they're coming here. 2, you have an opportunity to create that message and get that message out there. And 3, what you're doing is worldwide. You're creating this conversation and you're putting it out there. And somebody will from Park Services come here. They will. They would have to.
No,
they
shut
would
us
want
down.
to.
Yeah.
No, not just lock the doors. Let me get out first. But they would want to be a part of this conversation because you're creating something really good here.
Well, I hope they would. I don't know if they would see it that way. Jen Murray, you worked for the Park Service. Do you think the Park Service would see this in that way? I mean, I know it was a different staff.
I think some of them certainly would. When you know, they used to have public meetings and opportunities to engage with the superintendent. We were chatting about this the other day when the new museum was being created, and you could engage in these policies. But I think she's exactly right. These are conversations. We're facilitating a dialogue. The American Civil War is our nation's most defining epic.
Yes.
So it's our job to explain to the people playing cornhole why that behavior is inappropriate. Right?
I agree.
That's sort of our job to do that and to hold people accountable to this.
But you don't want to be like a hall monitor, though, at the same time. You don't want to be that kid. Remember that kid in school? Were you the hall monitor?
Maybe it was the hall monitor.
You were the hall monitor?
No, I wasn't the hall monitor. But look, if you would walk up to see those cornhole people, if I can't explain to them why the ground that they're standing on is important, then I'm not doing a good job.
I got you.
That's how I see my role.
Sure.
But I like your points about conversations and dialogue,
She's
and we
got
all
great
have
points.
to be the purveyor and facilitate
And
those
here's what I
conversations.
liked about the cornhole. they were here. So
Yes.
something I said to you, Matt, the other day
And that's
was,
where I'm torn, by the way.
So
Yeah.
here's my perspective. Here's the great news.
Oh,
Every
good.
single person was at that one location to celebrate the exact same thing at the exact same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
We came here to watch the fireworks and celebrate America, celebrate us, and be together after a couple crazy years.
Yes.
The cornholers were there, along with a multitude of other fascinating individuals for all the whys behind why they showed up that day. So though their activity was deemed inappropriate by this elite crew, who I admire, and I'm growing to admire so much more.
Who, us?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
But-
insane.
But I think what's interesting is that family was there and they were present. And you have
Yes.
an opportunity to connect with them, and they might be here longer.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
too, what you said at the very beginning, there isn't anything. So this goes back to rollerblade or not rollerblade, to cornhole or not cornhole. There's all these little moments that you have to go, okay, what does it look like, and what are we willing as this team to really put out there and say, this is important, or this is worth not talking about? And where's it presented besides small print somewhere? So me coming here, I had no idea cornhole was the thing. Oh my goodness, I had
You're
no
missing
idea.
out.
But there's a decorum as well. Of course, I would come here and I would never sit, lean, stand on a monument. I wouldn't bring a cornhole or even a frisbee. There's decorum. But again, that has to come from somewhere, come from the top, right? And that message, how is that message being presented? You guys are currently doing that. You guys are doing that. And your listeners are going to do that. And it's going to broaden and spread out. And you're going to start seeing some shifts and change because we are generational.
Yeah, no,
You know?
you're right. Like every generation looks at the way to handle this place differently than the ones before. I mean, that Jim Weeks book, you know. Yeah, I mean, it's astounding some of the things that I've read in that book that they used to have here. I still can't get over the fact that Emmitsburg Road had hotels and a Stuckey's, and that's insane to me. To us, that's insane now, but it wasn't. And those generations that put that shit there were a lot closer to the Civil War generation. They probably knew someone who was in the Civil War. And they felt it was appropriate to do that. I don't understand it, but that's what they did. And then subsequent generations corrected that. It's like you were saying something about the decorum and, but it's got to come from somewhere. And I was thinking of, I used to get in this, I'm not a religious person, but I'm not against religion like a lot of people seem to be. And I think that it does good things for people who know how to handle it properly, which is most religious people. And I have a friend who's an atheist, and he says, no, we should just listen to scientists and just base everything on what scientists say. And this was before 2020. And we always used to get into these discussions and everything. And I go, well, where does your morality come from? And he's like, what, I need to go to church to be a moral person? And I think the answer to that, you just kind of made me see that, like, the answer to that is yes. Like, it has to come from somewhere. If you just let people go and be themselves, they're not naturally going to have any sense of morality, decorum, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what people will accept or not accept. And you just have free-range people, which, sounds great if, to the libertarian and American and people. But really, if you think about it, do we really want free-range people? No, we don't. We don't. It's frightening. Yeah. Alex is doing the chicken. Yeah. I mean, we don't want that. And so there has to be a balance to cornhole or not to cornhole. I understand the people that are appalled by the cornholing. I was one of them. But after thinking about it for a few days, I'm like, well, okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to, on one hand, say, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't do this. Get out of my park if you're going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then on the other hand, we're going to go, how come nobody's coming to Gettysburg anymore? So we have to find a balance and realize Gettysburg is an important piece of ground. It is. To me, it's like Calvary. Like it's what, it's where Christ was crucified. It's a very sacred place to me. But I'm alive. The guys that fought here and lived and fought here and died are all dead now. I have a life. I have rights as an American citizen. This is my park. My tax dollars pay for it. we were talking about the free speech cage that they put you in.
Yeah.
Like the biggest goofy irony ever is like they have a free speech zone on federal land. Isn't the purpose of the federal government to protect our civil rights? And they're saying, well, we're going to protect them, but only in this tiny little spot. But if you had brought, I was saying this to somebody else, if you guys had brought rifles with you, you could have gone anywhere you wanted to.
Yeah. Well,
And-
we
and
applied
so-
for the permit and did all that the right way.
But you didn't need to.
Right.
Yeah,
Evidently.
apparently. Precedent has been set that you don't need to have a permit. You just need to have rifles and about 400 guys with beer bellies, and you can go anywhere on this park that you want. Do not do that, ladies and gentlemen. What we're talking about is Jen did a counter demonstration. What do you call it? What would you call
A
it?
counter protest to the July
counter-protest.
4th, 2020 incident.
Yeah. So I can't believe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, the Beer Belly Brigade came to protect the Virginia Monument against face-painting Antifa people that were it was a complete fraud, like it was 3 years prior when a guy shot himself in his fat ass. And so a couple of weeks later, right? It was only a few weeks later.
Yeah,
Jen
2 weeks
and a bunch of people decided they were going to apply for a permit to give the counter to that or whatever, and they put them in a cage down by Mead's headquarters. And then you guys got stopped later, right? Because you walked up to the cemetery, and that apparently wasn't what you put in your permit.
Right.
Right.
We left the free speech area and walked up to the National Cemetery. The protest sort of formally was over. If people wanted to walk up to the cemetery, they could. If they went back to their car, and some of them did, that was fine too. We walked into the cemetery, went down to the Soldiers National Monument. I read the 272-word Gettysburg Address, sort of concluded, the program at that point, I guess. And the law enforcement came and explained that was not acceptable for a variety of ways. You weren't allowed to have signs in the cemetery. We left our free speech zone. And it turned out to be sort of one of these other conversations about who's enforcing what and what can you and can you not do, what is reasonable, within the bounds of reason sort of things.
My question is, though, when they stopped you and they're saying these things to you, we're stopping you because of this, that, and the other thing and whatever, are they saying it with a straight face?
Oh, completely straight face. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you could deliver those lines with a straight face.
There's law enforcement cars pulling into the cemetery to sort of converge on the problem.
And how many people were you?
Maybe 50.
Maybe 50 people,
Yeah.
so less than 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is strange. And again, we're not bashing. We're saying this out of love, ladies and gentlemen. We love this park service, or this park, and the people who work here. And we don't, it looks silly because I have 400 people with rifles and tactical gear, I can just show up and do anything. And how many different law enforcement agencies came for that? All over town, right? And by the way, there was stuff going on in town. I saw a guy almost get shot out in front of Tommy's because of some stupid fight that I don't even know how it started. Point is, that happens, and then 2 weeks later, 50 people who did the right thing and got the permit, they're the ones that get in trouble because you didn't have guns.
Or signs and paraphernalia draped over the wall of the National Cemetery, or dogs in the National Cemetery.
I know.
Picnicking. I mean, that was in the Washington Post. There were.
I was there. I saw it.
National outrage about that.
I walked around, when there's a news story that I have, access to, I try to get in the middle of it, and see what it's all about, because I don't believe either side anymore. So I want to see for myself. And both sides misrepresented the whole thing. Of course. I just saw a bunch of, how do I say this without getting shot myself? It was not impressive at all or scary. What was scary was that they actually thought that Antifa was converging on Gettysburg to do this. And they didn't learn the lesson from 2017 when the same prankster pulled the same trick and everybody fell for it. And I remember people sending me screenshots of it saying, can you see this? You got to stop this. Can you believe Antifa is going to do this? And I said, it's a trick. They did it 3 years ago. Nobody remembers this. Everybody forgets things once they wake up in the morning. Your whole life, you just forget it. 3 years ago at the time, they did that. And people showed up, and it was nothing, and it was nothing again. I remember there was a guy. So I was driving through by the Virginia Memorial, and I see a friend of mine who's a photographer, and he was taking pictures of everything. So I pull over, I park, and he and I are walking around. I go, okay, tell me what you're seeing here. What's the story? And he goes, well, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And I see this one guy, you know how like the Virginia Memorial's up on like a mound, right? And then there's that steep bank that goes down. So he's on that embankment, and he's got a telescope, and he's looking across the field. And I go, what's he looking for? He goes, well, there's people going around saying that they just unloaded a bus of about 100 Antifa people in town, and some of them are trying to sneak out here to deface the Virginia Memorial. I go, there's 400 people here. What the hell? Two little Antifa people are going to come running over here? These skinny little wimpy people, they're going to come running across that field in front of all these people with guns to deface the Virginia Memorial? How stupid are these people? And this guy's looking. He's scanning the horizon for these little idiots that are going to come running over there. And they're not even in town. There was one guy I saw stand up to these guys. One guy. Biggest balls on the planet, this guy. And that was the guy that later was getting in the fight in front of Tommy's. Anyway, Stella, what else do you got there? Anything else? We're going long today.
No, I do not. No, that's all right. But, yeah, thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that everybody has to say and what they're sharing.
All right, very good. Thank you, Estella, very much for all of your support. And we'll see you at the live show in August, won't we?
Absolutely.
That's right.
We are waiting.
Tim Smith and Gary Edelman will be
Okay.
here. All right. Thank you very much, Estella. We'll talk to you later.
Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, and then we'll do, let's see here. Oh, no. Okay. I guess Mike, 6 questions called, and then he hung up. All right. Anyway, what do we do? What do we do moving forward? We don't want to be complainers and bitchers. We want to offer solutions. What are the solutions we're going to offer, Jen? Come on now. Let's think of it right now.
I think it would be great if someone from the Park Service came on your show
I agree.
and joined in this conversation.
I would love to talk to Superintendent Sims.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I don't like to not like someone because I don't know them, but I don't like what am I trying? I'm not saying I don't like him. I don't know him, so I can't not like him. But everybody is so quick to just blame him for things and, you know, Sims. And I'm like, well, I don't know if it's Sims. I don't want to be that guy. Now, it's easier for other people to do it because they don't have a platform. But, like, you know, I can't go around saying, blame it all on him. And then I look like the ass when I find out, no, that's his boss telling him to do that. And he's just doing his job like any one of us would do if we had a boss. So, I would love to have him on. Yeah. I would love to have anybody on who would come and talk.
I think it's clear that we have a lot of questions about the park and the direction that it's going, and we have a right to have those questions and concerns. So
I think you're right.
If someone could, in the authority vested in them, share some insight in a format such as this, I think that would be great.
That would be amazing.
Maybe alleviating some of the concerns or tempering some of the anxieties that so many people among us have right now.
Yeah, and I get a lot of those questions as if I know. And I'll tell you what, if they did do it, if they did come on, I will not make any jokes. I will be very serious. It will be like the difference between, I don't know, going on like Conan and Larry King. Like tonight's
Jerry Springer.
No, we're not going to Jerry Springer it. Jerry. No, we're not doing that. But no, seriously, like I'll take it very seriously, like you know. And we'll get the answers to the question. Maybe people can call in if they'll take callers. I don't know. I doubt any of this will ever happen. But the offer is on the table, and yeah, I mean, because you know, there's like, remember in Malcolm X, at that one scene where he and all his guys are out in front of like City Hall or whatever, and he just goes like this with his hand, and they all turn at the same time in military precision. And the chief of police goes, my God, that's too much power for, or I think he says something like that, too much power for one man to have or something like that. I'm not saying I'm Malcolm X. I'm just saying that there is a movement afoot here. Like we get a lot of numbers that listen to this show every month. Not this particular type of show, but like all the shows combined. A lot of ears hearing these things. And we would like to make friends with everybody, and we would want people to be supportive of the Park Service and everything, and understand where they're coming from, and maybe still be annoyed and still be frustrated, but at least understand why. But there is no effort from the park to reach out and let the public understand. It's just like, this is how it is. Love it or leave it. F you. F you, pay me. It's like in Goodfellas. Oh, what's that? You didn't get a lot of business this week? F you, pay me. And then you burn the place down. So, I hope it's not like that. I don't want it to be like that. But I'm not saying it's going to be like that. I'm just saying
the
that
superintendent has a awesome responsibility.
Yeah.
And a burden and an opportunity. I wouldn't want the job of
Nope.
the superintendent at
Me
Gettysburg.
neither.
It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. And this battlefield, more than any other, like we talked about, is loved.
Yeah.
In excess.
Well, and that's why I wouldn't want his job, because people love this place so much in excess that it drives us crazy. Like, I think a lot of us are crazy. I mean, you've been watching Alex doing the chicken strut the whole time. I mean, he's crazy, right? Like, look at him. He's got a KISS t-shirt on. He's walking around like a chicken. We're all crazy, but we're happy crazy people, right? And we're crazy with love.
Hey, the Civil War people are the best in the historical profession.
I agree.
We are absolutely the best.
I agree. Although I hear some people would disagree with that, but I think we are the best. They are wrong, because we're all crazy. All right, so listen, we've gone very far, but I have a little public service announcement here. Not as public service or whatever, but it's a little thing for you. It's an opportunity for you to win a $25 gift card from TR Historical, our buddy Dave over there, which I saw his tent over at the reenactment, and what a setup he has. I thought he was just like a rinky-dink little T-shirt, online thing. No, he's got like a full store. He had a huge tent with tons of stuff. You got to go to trhistorical.com and get some stuff. But you can get a $25 gift card if you go to Spagler. Did Bill write this? Yeah. I'm sorry, Colby. Go ahead.
Yeah, he wrote it. I don't know if that's supposed to say Spangler.
It is supposed to say Spangler. Look at that. Spagler. Thanks, Bill.
That's honestly why I gave it to you.
Spangler Farm, Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Bill and Cindy will be there. Go over and see them. First listener to come and say hi to them gets a $25 gift card to TR Historical.
Well, that's hard to beat, dude.
So
$25.
It's in writing, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't believe it, that's what Bill wrote with the correct misspelling. And I didn't know what this was at first.
Listener, I know. Yeah. I was like, listen, ER? What?
Or listen, CR?
ER come out with a podcast?
Yeah. ER, 25 years later. All right. So that's it. Go over there to Spangler and check it out. If you haven't been to Spangler, you need to go there anyway, because it's an awesome place. All right. Jen, thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks.
I know it was short notice. Did you go to Pittsburgh?
Western PA.
Western PA.
Yeah, visit my parents.
So you did. You went out there yesterday and you got back today just for the show.
Yeah. Well, this is important. This is an important.
Oh, dude, love that.
So I'm here to be part of the conversation with you all.
Thank you very much for that. Because we talked on the phone yesterday, and I invited you, and you go, I got this thing I got to do out in Western PA. I don't think I'll be back in time. I go, okay. I know it's short notice. I tried, and then we hung up. 5 minutes later, she texts me. She's like, okay, I could do it. What did you do? Did you rearrange your day, or how'd you do that?
A little bit of rearranging. But like I said, this is important. So I want to be part of the agent of change in a positive direction.
Good. That's great. Thank you very much, Jen. And I do too. Please, believe me, I do. Please don't take my business away and kill me. No, really, we really do, and I think we have a track record of that with the show. We've made friends with anybody that we come in contact with. A lot of people come on here several times because they enjoy it. We like having fun, and we all love this stuff. So we want to share the joy with everybody, and that includes people in the Park Service. So we hope somebody will come on. Someone will be maybe anointed with the power to come and speak on behalf of the Park Service and explain some of this stuff to us. It will not be a hostile environment. No, sirree, Bob. It will be a very friendly environment. I don't think technically I'm even allowed to offer you a bottle of water, but if you come out of uniform, then maybe I will give you a bottle of water or something. I would give you gifts, but I know that that's considered like taking payment or something. I was told, like, I can't even give them water when they come on. So anyway, however, now what happens if they like skin their knee? Can I give them a Band-Aid, or is that okay?
What does the CFR say?
I don't know. It changes every minute. I really
check the regulations.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I don't really know what it is, but really, that is an honest to God, in all earnestness, offer. Anybody from the park, because I know you've been listening, so might as well invite you on. No, not might as well, because we want to. Yeah. That's why. It'll be a good thing to do. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Jen. Thank you, Michael. Everybody else, thank you all. And thank you for everybody that called, and we will talk to you next time.
Addressing Gettysburg Today is hosted by Matt Callery and Veronica Brestensky, Esquire. Produced by Eric, the producer, Moni. Applause led by Owen the Clabber. Guests of Addressing Gettysburg Today stay wherever they want. That's not our concern. To be a guest on the show, send an email to eric@addressinggettysburg.com. Addressing Gettysburg broadcasts
The wiener is in small minus small.
Thanks for listening.
That's why I do this. You got a small wieners?
Yeah, mine's small too. It's the only time I feel like a big man.
There were many Union men who wept with joyful tears when they saw the honored flag they had not seen for years. Hardly could they be restrained from breaking forth in cheers while we were marching through Georgia. Hurrah, hurrah, we bring the jubilee. Hurrah, hurrah, the flag that makes us free. So we sang the chorus from Atlanta to the sea while we were marching through Georgia. While we were marching through Georgia. While we were marching through Georgia.
If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's not a chicken.
This concludes our broadcast day.